37-year-old homemaker Terry Baker is suing her former friend, 37-year-old activities director Tanya Williams, for the return of personal property and for unpaid bills. Tanya has a countersuit for storage fees, car damage, and lost wages.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 442 on the calendar in the matter of Baker versus Williams. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Miss Baker, you have one child?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
You and the defendant know each other because, according to what I read, each of you has children who have the same father.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Neither of you are seeing this father anymore.
That's correct.
But that's how you know each other.
That's correct.
Yes.
And there came a time, sometime last summer, that you accepted a position in Alaska.
Yes, ma'am.
And you asked the defendant to not only store your belongings for you,
Yes, ma'am.
but also to take care of your daughter.
That is correct.
How old is your daughter?
She's 4.
And how old are your children?
22, 20, 17, and 16.
Those are the half-siblings.
Yes.
And they know each other.
Yes, they do.
And they have a nice relationship.
Yes, they do.
That's a good thing. And you agreed to take care of the child,
Yes.
as well as to make arrangements to store her property.
Yes.
She was supposed to send you money every month
Yes, she
for
was.
storage, and you were going to also pay some of her bills because you had your mail forwarded to her house.
Yes, ma'am. I
Yes.
did.
And it is your claim that despite the fact that you sent her money, she refuses to return property that she was to store for you,
That's correct.
that she didn't pay your bills as she was supposed to, and that she used the money on herself.
Yes, ma'am.
And you, Miss Williams, say that that's all untrue, that she sent you very little money during the time that she was away. And as a matter of fact, she owes you money for 10 months' worth of storage bills for her property, and that you paid whatever bills you could from the little money you sent, and you have a counterclaim.
Yes.
Your counterclaim is for that, for storage and other things, and also you claim that she caused some substantial damage to your personal property when she was angry over something.
Mm-hmm.
When did you accept this job in Alaska?
In June 2001,
What kind of job was it?
seafood processing.
Had you ever done that work before?
No, ma'am, I had never.
Why did you decide to leave your daughter and go to Alaska?
I needed the funding, and I got lots of overtime hours in this job.
Did you have a place to live there?
They provided everything, room, board, fooding.
And how much were you earning there?
I was making $675, Your Honor, overtime plus double time on the weekends.
On any given week, how much would you bring home?
I would get paid once a month after taxes. I would bring home $2,038 a month.
Okay. And you started working when?
The last part of July.
The last part of July?
Yes, ma'am. What happened, the fishermen went on strike the day that we got there. So no work, no pay.
So how were you surviving?
They were still providing food, and board is free. When you work for the canneries, it's all free.
Did you contact the defendant and tell her that you weren't making any money?
Yes, ma'am, I sure did.
Okay,
I told
but
her-
starting July, you started to make money.
I did.
Fine. And when did you return home?
I returned home December 16th.
So how much did you send each month to the defendant?
The first time I sent the sum of $550. Second month I sent $525, and I sent her. I'm not quite, but I sent money twice in August.
Your Honor, I have received none of this money. I received money one time, and it was for specific bills of hers.
How much did you receive?
Altogether, I received about $550. That was for her bills that she stated which ones she wanted it for.
Do you have a letter there from her indicating which bills she wanted you to pay?
Nope. She called me on the phone saying which ones and that they would come.
Which bills were they? Do you remember?
She wanted for her furniture, that was her biggest thing, which was Hometown Furniture that has since gone out of business, and her Spiegel bill.
Can you prove that you sent her any more than $550?
Yes, ma'am, I can.
Let me see. Well, I have a Western Union to you as the recipient indicating $750.
Yeah, but 200 of that was for her oldest son.
No, ma'am, it was not.
Just a minute. Well, you didn't mention anything about $750. Are you telling me that you got $750 and she told you to give some money to her oldest son?
Yes.
Well, tell me about that.
She had sent the money, and I was supposed to give her oldest son $200 of that money.
How old is
She's
he?
lying,
He
Your Honor.
is,
She's lying.
I'm not sure, he's like 21
How did you give it to him?
when he came over. He came over to visit his sister. He is the only one out of the family that ever did come over.
She wouldn't let him visit his sister at her home. She would not let him visit.
I don't know whether she would or whether she wouldn't.
She wouldn't, and she's lying.
Okay. Is this the only money that you received? The $750, $200 of which you gave to the
Your
son?
Honor, I
All right,
have a
Miss Baker.
letter
let me-
from
shh.
Western Union that I sent the $200.
No. Listen to me. Do you have any proof? See, here you have a Western Union.
I had Western Union send me my receipt billings. This is the proof where I sent my son. His name is on that. Directly to my son, not to her.
And she
Just
could
a
have
second.
sent that to him, but
Same
that's all
month,
fine
Your
and
Honor.
good. But
If
all
you
she
see
sent
the
me
same
was that
month,
amount of money.
Okay. Let us say this, Miss Baker. Let us assume that I believe you that you sent her $750.
Yes,
Okay?
I did.
Fine. Do you have any proof that in the 6 months that you were away that you sent her any more money?
I have another receipt for $100 here.
Well, I'd like to see it, please.
Here you are.
Well, this doesn't say who this $100 was sent to.
No, I didn't fill it. I let her fill it out in her name because at the time I didn't know her real name. So I would send the
You
money
left
order.
your daughter with somebody and you didn't know their real name?
I know her name, but I didn't know her marriage name. I didn't know her real name, in other words. I did not know her name.
Your Honor,
Just-
I don't know why she would not know my name.
Just 1 second.
I knew her name, but I didn't know her marriage name. I always know her as Tanya Humphreys.
What I'm telling you is, in September, you knew her name, Tanya Williams.
Yes.
That's because that's you when you send the Western Union.
Because I had asked
so why
her what
wouldn't
was
you?
her marriage name, Your Honor. I
All
said,
right.
what is
Did
your
you receive
marriage?
$100?
No, ma'am.
Yes, she did.
And as far as her not knowing my name, the last time I was known as Humphreys was 20 years ago. She's only known me as Williams.
Listen, I don't believe that. for a
That's
second.
right,
All right,
'cause
listen to me. Miss Baker, what other proofs do you have of monies that you sent to her?
Well, Your Honor, I was going to send her $1,600 in child payments.
Just a second. Show me proof showing how much
My
you sent.
receipts are in my storage at her home because I sent my boxes to her house.
Listen to me.
I got my
You-
work receipts.
Listen to me,
Okay.
madam.
I have work receipts.
Listen to me, madam. Work receipts merely indicate that you got paid.
And I didn't mishandle my funding.
Miss Baker, work receipts only show that you got paid. However, you were able to get from Western Union a printout of what Western Union funds they had sent on a particular date, right? So all you can establish is that you sent her $750 over
Yes.
the 6 months that you were there.
Yes.
That's all you can establish.
That's all I can establish. Your
Right.
Honor.
So that's what we got. Now, what was your agreement with her as far as how much money you were supposed to send?
I was agreed for child care only is what she was concerned about.
How much were you supposed to send her every month?
$349.
So you didn't send that because you don't have any proof that you sent that every month.
That is correct.
That would have been $2,100 in child care. And what about the storage? You asked her to store your stuff in a storage unit?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
She made the initial payment. I told her I would pay her back. I sent her money faithfully every month, Your Honor.
You don't have any proof of that.
Not at this moment.
Well, this is the moment that counts. This is the
I
moment we're in
understand.
court.
But I don't have proof. It's in my boxes at her home.
How much was the storage each month?
$59 a month.
Did you pay it?
Yes, I did.
Can I
I am
see
currently
proof, please?
paying it.
Your Honor, that storage was supposed to be put in my name. She did not do that. She put it in her name. I cannot get access to my storage.
Your Honor, you cannot rent something in somebody else's name.
She could
You
put
have to
in care of.
sign
I
a-
spoke with the lady. She said
Whatever,
she
you
could put
didn't
in
pay
care
for
of on
it.
there.
She's
That
not
is
going to let you
right.
get your stuff and stiff
No,
it for the
I
money.
paid her for that storage.
No, you didn't.
Your Honor, you must know that this storage contains all my home items, okay?
So?
Well over $13,000 worth of stuff. She is not going to get her hands on my storage.
She doesn't want your hands on the storage. She just wants
Oh,
you to
but
pay.
she won't turn over my
Speak.
storage. She's sitting here lying, saying that I
listen to
knew
me.
I paid my storage.
Listen to me. You have no proof that you paid your storage.
I got to talk to the lady at the storage. She
Listen
said
to
that.
me. This is the time. You have no proof
Well,
that
could
you
you
paid
have
the
her to
storage.
turn my storage over to me, Your Honor, please?
Excuse me?
Could you have her to turn my storage to me?
She wants to return your storage over. She doesn't want to continue to pay for it. She wants you to stuff out of this so she can close up the storage as long as you pay her for The storage. Where is her daughter?
I'm the one who...
I'm speaking.
Her daughter is in my custody right now.
And she shouldn't be.
I
You
have
kidnapped her.
CPS
I don't
papers.
want you to speak to her.
I have CPS papers right here stating why and that there is a case pending.
Pending. Let me just take a look at it.
All allegations
I
she
am-
brought against me so she could continue to get money fraudulent for my daughter. Nobody but her, but nobody talks about her and how she been doing drugs, men.
Who are you,
Ooh.
sir? Who are you, sir?
He's my witness that I sent all this stuff here.
Who are you, sir?
Herbie, come here.
You listen to her, Herbert, very fast. How are you related to her?
He's a witness for me, Your Honor.
I want him to speak. He can't be a witness unless he speaks. How are you related to her, sir?
I met her at King Cove, Alaska,
So you met her in Alaska.
working with her.
Thank you. Sit down. I just wanted to know how you know her.
Your Honor, I have a list of items about my things in
Have you?
storage.
Just a second. I don't want you to talk to me about your things in storage. You're going to get your stuff back from storage. We're just going to make arrangements for the payments for storage. I want you to be very quiet. Do you understand?
I understand.
Good. Now, at what stage of the proceedings are the child protective proceedings with regard to a permanent order?
We go back in 2 weeks.
Does Miss Baker have any visitation with her daughter?
When we went to court this time, that was tried to be worked out. It was worked out. She disagreed with it, so the judge took it away and said, if you want visitation, you can go through CPS.
She's lying.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Former friend Tanya Williams owes for unpaid bills and for the return of her property.
Miss Baker, it really isn't urgently important for the
Hey.
resolution.
I need to talk about my storage, Your Honor.
I already told you I'm going to resolve your storage.
Okay.
So then I want you to be quiet today. You're going to get all your stuff out of storage. It's very important, Miss Baker, for you to pay attention to what I'm saying to you. I'm going to make an order that Miss Williams, on her counterclaim, will be receiving money to pay off the storage, and I will give you a
I
date
paid
certain.
her money for the storage,
I don't
Your
want.
Honor.
No, you haven't.
Yes, I have. I paid her money for the storage.
Miss Baker, you're
I
not
paid
helping.
her money
You're
for
not
the
helping
storage.
yourself. No,
I
no, no.
have paid Miss Williams. I sent her money for bills, for storage. I sent her all this money.
You didn't send her all this money, madam.
Yes,
You sent
I
her
did.
$750.
I have a witness here. He can tell you that I sent money. He's been with me from the day
Herbert,
one I was at the
Herbert,
cannery.
Stand up. How many times did you go to Western Union to send money with the plaintiff? How many times?
About 4 different times.
And did you see who she sent money to?
She sent it to Tanya Williams.
You saw her write that out?
She showed me the receipt that she was sending.
She showed it to you.
Yes.
And how much did she send on these 4 occasions, Herbert?
I gave her about $400.
Why didn't she... Don't speak. Why didn't she use her own money?
She had bills to pay that she told me that she needed some help.
So she told you she needed money from you in addition to the $2,000 a month that she was earning from the cannery.
She said she would pay me back, which she did.
Thank you. Sit down.
On more than one occasion, Your Honor. He helped me because when I first got there, like I
Miss
explained...
Baker, I want you to be quiet and just listen.
Yes, ma'am.
You're going to get your furniture. I have a sense that you have a problem in court, which is why the judge terminated your visitation with your daughter.
He did not, Your Honor. He told me to arrange visitation, but I had to come here. So when I get back, I anticipate on arranging visitation.
Miss Baker, this isn't the first child that you've lost custody of. Is that right?
That's a lie.
You have another child.
I have 3 children altogether, Your Honor.
How old are the other children? You have a 22-year-old
No,
son.
ma'am, that's a lie. I have a 23-year-old.
23-year-old son. And your other child is how old?
He's 7.
And where does he live?
He's in foster care because of his father, neglect and abuse. That's the reason he's in foster care. Nothing by me. Nothing by what I've done.
Were your parental rights terminated with regard to that child?
And they were.
Okay. Listen to me. I want you to try very hard. If you're in court, you're supposed to try to understand and focus on what the issue is.
My suit is...
This is an easy issue.
I understand,
This
but
is
my
money.
suit is
I'm telling you.
about my money that I gave her. and about my storage unit. That's
Okay.
what I come here. I didn't
right.
come
Miss
to
Williams.
discuss kids.
Yes.
Miss Williams,
Yes.
I did not come to discuss kids, Judge Judy. I did
Well-
not do this. I come to talk about my things in storage, my funding that I give to this lady.
what about your child that she was taking care of? That's part of the lawsuit. You
She
said
did
you
not
gave her
give
money.
back on the contract. That is correct. She did not give my child back on the contract. So therefore, the contract between her and I was void because she didn't honor up to it.
All right. Listen to me. How much is owed on the storage? At this point, I see $354 on storage.
I don't have the readout.
You want to go through
I'm
this
sorry.
vandalism?
I have a picture of the window on my Durango. I did not see her do it. However, she had broke my front room window, which she got arrested for doing. The day after she got out, my Durango window was broken.
Okay, let's forget about it. In all probability, that's what happened, but you have no proof that that's what happened.
Okay.
And that happened the day after the vandalism
The day
of
after
your
she
house.
got out of jail for it, yes.
And that was as a result of her coming to your house to try to get her daughter?
Yes.
No, that was not. That was after Christmas. She's lying again. That was after Christmas. After I had told her on ample amount of times that I wanted to come and get my daughter, and she kept saying, no, let her stay here for Christmas. She had made other plans. I said, fine. 26, I'll be there to get my daughter. I come to 26, she was not there again.
Don't say anything else, Miss
I
Baker.
just want the truth to come out, and the truth of it is, this lady lies.
Miss Williams, on your counterclaim,
Yes, ma'am.
you're going to get the $354 for the storage unit. As a matter of fact, I'm going to round it out to $400 so that we cover all bases.
But she haven't paid. Not with her money. She been paying it with my money.
And then I will prepare an order that you are to release that property, put her name on it, and within 5 days from today's date, you can go and reclaim your property from storage. Do you understand, Miss Baker?
I understand I ain't broke
from
her
today.
car window out while she's standing here lying on me again.
5 days
I
from
understand
today.
that.
Okay? And may I suggest to you, Miss Williams, and I'm certain that the courts will indicate to you in 2 weeks when you go back for a final order, that whatever custody visitation is made with regard to Miss Baker be under supervised circumstances
It's already,
in place.
yes.
All right, good luck.
And she
The court will
already
prepare that
mind her
order.
business,
That order.
bring
On
up
your
them
counterclaim,
right
I'm awarding you
till she dies.
$400. There's also some indication here that there's a sofa in your house.
There is.
Which is
All right.
okay. Let's talk about the sofa.
We're going to
It's
talk
cut
about.
up,
We're
yeah.
going to talk about the sofa.
It's all cut up because of her.
Miss Baker, we're going to talk about the sofa.
Okay, let's
Within-
talk about my things in storage. Yeah, we can go there.
The sofa.
Cause she ain't getting
Do
no
you know where she's
$300
living?
out of me.
Do you know where she's living?
She
I
don't
believe
need to
she's
know where
living
I'm
at her
living.
sister's house.
Well, she has to know where to send the sofa.
No. She don't have to know what's in my sofa at. Not like I don't want the sofa back. I want
Good,
my money.
perfect.
My sofa's brand new.
Listen to me. 5 days you have to go and reclaim your stuff, Miss Baker. We'll prepare an order. It'll be very clear.
Your Honor,
Thank
there's
you. That's
more
all.
stuff there than my sofa.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Tanya ain't heard the last from me. She got more than my sofa there.
I'm very happy the way that it came out.
Man, it's been frustrating from day one.
Been ongoing.
Is suing the father of her child, 30-year-old Troy Holt, for destroying her property after they broke up. Troy says Sylvia took everything he owned. He is countersuing for the cost of his belongings.
Order. Come to order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 290 on the calendar in the matter of Lede versus Holt. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
All right, I have a complaint and a cross-complaint. And basically, you two people lived together for 5 years. You have a child together. You moved out. You claim that the defendant either destroyed or took some of your property. He says when you moved out, you took his property. That's where we're at, right?
Yes.
Okay. When did you start to live together?
We started in 96, if I'm not mistaken. of
And have you been
October.
together continuously since 96?
Most of the time, yes. It was more after a while, breakup and separation and coming back.
And how old is your child?
She's 4.
Is there any reason why you didn't get married?
Yes, lots of reasons. Mr. Holt couldn't hold down a job for no more than 2 weeks. He just had one previously for a year and maybe 3-4 months, and he lost that one. The other reasons were Mr. Holt also a lot of times would smoke marijuana. I didn't like that too much, and he'll stop. I'll take him back and start back up. My mistake. Yes, And another thing was Mr. Holt's violent attitude. We had one incident already in '97 for domestic violence, and I took him back for, I know, for many reasons. No, I know, it's a sad story.
But you lived together for 5.5 years.
Yes.
And during that 5.5 years, I assume you were employed
Yes, I was.
continuously?
Continuously.
And you were employed sporadically?
Yes, I was, Your Honor.
And who watched the baby when the baby was born?
I did.
While you were working?
No. We had a child care that I was paying for when Mr. Holt would go for his minimum wage job, and then he'll come home and say he's sick. And so the next day, the job wouldn't take him back because he either got sick, complained of a stomach ache or something. So that was on and off. And then when he was home, he would watch her. But I will pay for a sitter because I wanted him to try to get out there and find a job.
Why do you have such trouble keeping a job, Mr.
Your
Holt?
Honor, we got together in 1996. 1997, I had an injury to where I was disabled for a couple of years.
What was the nature of your disability?
Well, me and her got into it because she went to go visit her ex-boyfriend. That's the reason why the domestic violence even occurred.
What was the nature of your disability?
I was shot by LAPD. Me and her went through a little confrontation. LAPD came up and they shot me
Where did they shoot you?
in my leg.
What?
Okay. The reason why he didn't get shot for that, he got shot because he was jumping on me. And the neighbor saw me. He dragged me, and the neighbor called the police. So he got shot for domestic violence and also for having a weapon in your hand.
What
Mr.
kind of
Holt.
weapon?
A knife.
So he was dragging you and he had a knife in his hand?
Yes.
So they disabled him by shooting him in the leg.
Yes.
You were real lucky.
Can I, Your Honor?
Better rain. Shh. All right. Let's move on. You finally decided, Ms. Leday, that you had had enough.
Yes.
And you moved out.
Yes.
Okay. What is it that you claim that the defendant either took or destroyed?
Well, previously I had put him out in July. Mr. Holt begged to come back because he was on a lease and he was going to bring the police. So to keep everything down, and because I have kids, I didn't want the police at my house and everything being interrupted. I let Mr. Holt back in. We agreed November that we were going to separate it after the lease was going to be final, and I was going on with my life. He was going on with his. Mr. Holt, meanwhile, the beginning of September up to now, Mr. Holt decided, I guess he was going to have to find another place to lay his head and start having an affair on me. So when I found out about the affair, I was upset, of course, and I was angry. So I went home to pack as much stuff as I could. And I left it where Mr. Holt could come back in to get his own belongings.
What do you claim that he either took or destroyed?
He destroyed my whole household, my furniture, my bedroom set. I have photos. I have a police report.
Let me see, please. Was he arrested for this vandalism?
They
No.
haven't. They don't know where the case is right now. I went to the police department. They just have it on it because they don't have an address or.
So you weren't arrested?
No, ma'am.
You have the receipts for this furniture that you purchased?
Yes, I do.
You made quite a mess here, Mr. Holt.
The only thing that I did was color the couches with ice cone syrup.
What'd you do that for? Well,
Why'd I
that's a
do
big-
that? Because she took everything of mine, and everything in the house, she did not buy by herself. It accumulated with us for the last 5 years. None of that stuff was
I'm going to get there.
All right.
I mean, I see what you did to these sofas.
Yes,
She
that I
says she
did.
bought these sofas in February of 2001, so they were relatively new. Did you buy the furniture or did she?
She bought the couches. Yes, she did.
So that's the thing that you decided to destroy, the thing that she had bought.
Well,
Well, what?
she took
well is
everything
not
of
an
mine.
answer.
When I came in that house, everything was cleared. Everything, the TVs, the DVD player, the VCR, my PlayStation 2, a car that I helped accumulate with her, all my videotapes that I've been collecting with me and my daughter for over the past years. She took everything of mine. See, I'm not the type of person that would go to court.
Mr. Holt,
like
let me ask you a
Okay.
question, sir. Did you file tax returns last year?
Yes, I did.
How much did you earn on your tax returns last year?
And I made about
Not about Filed tax returns last
About
year.
1823 for
What's
this year.
1823? 18.
About 23,000.
And how much did you report on your tax returns that you made the year before last?
About 14, 15.
Now, did you file tax returns last year?
Yes, I did.
How much did you earn on your tax returns last year?
My total earnings were 52.
52,000.
Yes.
So it's clear who was maintaining the household, because on what you earn, sir, you can hardly support yourself.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sylvia Leday says when she confronted ex-boyfriend Troy Holt about him cheating, he doused her couches with snow cone syrup.
Okay. Mr. Holt, do you have other children other than this child?
Yes, I do.
Where are your other children?
One's with her, and the other one's with her mother.
One child is with her mother. Do you pay child support for that
Yes,
child?
I do.
How much do you pay in child support?
Well, before she took me to the DA, and they came down with a price, I was paying her about $100 every 2 weeks.
So out of this $20-some-odd thousand, you were paying child support in the amount of $200 a month or $2,400 a year. So let me hear how you bought this television set and this DVD player and the PlayStation and all that other stuff that you claimed that she stole that was yours.
Well, I mean, I get 2 tapes a month. I got a proof right here that I've been going to this guy for years, that I've been buying videotapes from him for years.
What's the rent on the place where you live?
$1,265 with our water and trash. It's come to $1,300.
Who paid the rent?
I paid the rent.
Just a minute. Did you have a joint account?
No, we didn't.
Your Honor, she didn't pay everything at that house. I gave out of each paycheck from $500 to $550 to $600 every single 2 weeks.
That's impossible, sir, on your earnings.
I was bringing home $1,400, $1,500 a month. So how is that impossible? I would barely have money for myself. I would ask her, where's the groceries at?
Grow up.
You grow up.
Okay, you have to understand, Ms. Leday, when people live together, there is no way that a court is going to be able to, or wants to, make everybody whole.
Right.
Do you understand that?
Yes.
You chose not to get married. You said he's got a lot of impediments to marriage, but not a lot of impediments to living with him and having a child with him. There are no statutes like there are when you're married. You're married, everything is community property in some states, or it's depending upon who purchased it. When you live together for 5.5 years, no court is going to go back over history to decide whose tape was that and who made the mess here and who broke that dish and who broke that picture frame. It's just not going to happen unless there's a specific act of vandalism. Clearly, according to the police report, there were specific acts of vandalism. You have bills for the sofas that you bought, and they were, in fact, not purchased in February of '01, but according to this bill, they were purchased in August of 2000.
Yes.
All right, so you were mistaken. They weren't purchased just a few months ago.
Okay, I'm
Doesn't
sorry.
make any difference.
Okay, I'm
You
sorry.
paid, not $1,700, as you quoted in the police report, but you paid for them a total of $1,432. That you're going to get back from Mr. Holt because he purposefully destroyed them, making them impossible for anybody to use. The police officer also indicates that the bedroom furniture was totally destroyed because he took the drawers out of the furniture, threw them around, making them incapable of being put back. Now, you only paid how much for that?
I paid $600, but it was in '99. It was a while.
Do you have a bill?
I just have a letter from her because it was from a friend.
No, I'm not taking this letter from
Your
a
Honor.
friend.
Okay.
What?
That she bought from a lady in Compton for $175
Not
because she
dealing
was
with
trying
that.
The
I'm not
drawers
dealing
were
with that.
already out.
I'm not dealing with
Okay.
it. Fine. Can't destroy property. It's not nice. Now, you have any bills for the TV, VCR, et
Do
cetera?
I? No.
Yeah,
She
well, then I-
took everything out of the
Then
drawers.
I can't help you.
But
She may
I
have taken-
do have bills of what she did take and how much it accumulated to.
I'm going to take a look at them, sir.
Okay.
You need a bill. And if she took everything, then you go back to the store where you bought the TV or where you bought the VCR, and you say, I lost my bill. Get me a duplicate bill, please. Did you do that?
No, I just went and got these tapes. They're just the tapes that I accumulated over the years that it was mine and my daughter's when it was our special moment together.
Do you still have visitation with your daughter?
No, I got to take her to court to get visitation.
All right. Let me just see his list so he feels as if I've looked at it.
May I say something? Your
Sure.
Honor? The tapes that he's speaking about are Dragon Ball Z cartoon tapes. Mr. Holt and I purchased those tapes together because our daughter enjoys those tapes. Mr. Holt told me when he was crying to me 2 weeks after his little affair, he called me 2 weeks telling me that he was sorry and that he still loved me, and whatever I do, keep the Dragon Ball Z tapes for Taylor and to just make sure that I keep the collection up. I told him, I said, okay, fine. I can do that with no problem. The TV...
I'm not dealing with the TV.
Okay, we're out for the TV.
Forget the
You did say
TV,
that.
forget the
Okay.
VCR. My question is, do you have the tape?
I sure do. And
I want you to do me this favor.
Okay,
Oh, do me a favor, we'll put it in an order.
okay,
I want you to box up the tapes
okay.
in really good condition
I will.
and give them back to him.
Okay.
Because if he eventually gets visitation with the child, then he'll be able to watch them with her. And if he doesn't, he can sit and watch them himself. Okay, go ahead.
I've been collecting these tapes and a lot of this stuff for a long time. Now, these tapes I put on shelves. They're in like mint condition. I collect these tapes because they add up to pictures. She's the type of person that will let everybody just take them, bend them up, wreck them up.
You're getting your tapes back.
Messed
She's
up?
not paying for them. There's no proof that they're messed up, sir.
When she hands them to me, it will be.
I didn't hear what he said. Did you hear what he said? So I'm not interested in what he said. There's no proof that they're messed up, sir. She doesn't appear to be the kind of woman that if her daughter wanted to watch a tape, what she would do is she would purposefully damage it so her daughter couldn't watch it. Right. So you're going to get your tapes back within 5 days, and you owe $1,432 for the couch. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Make sure a woman doesn't help you out with nothing. You do it all on your own.
Nobody likes him except for the Happy Meal that he have right now. He traded in filet mignon and lobster for a Happy Meal, and he has to be the toy, so that's what you...
Is suing her ex-boyfriend, 28-year-old photographer John Handel, for a series of unpaid loans and damage to her home.
Ms. Bennett, according to your complaint, you met the defendant, began dating, he lost his job, you lent him some money, broke up, now you want it back.
Yes, Your Honor.
Defendant says that he acknowledges that he owes you some money, but 1/3 of what you are claiming. So, when did you meet him? When did you start to make these loans, and for what?
He was my next-door neighbor. We met about a year prior to us dating, and about a month after we had dated, he didn't have any money because he lost his job. He refused to go to work. He would lie to his boss and said...
Don't tell me what he lost his job.
He lost his job, and he didn't have money to cover the December bills. So I took his sob story, and I paid for all of the bills for the month of December. In January, he didn't have any money to cover the month of January either, so I agreed to let him move in with me on the 15th. He did give me $250 for rent, and that was about it. And he lived with me for a month and a half before I finally was at my wit's ends with him and kicked him out.
How much were the bills that you paid for him in the month of December?
December, the rent was $595 times 28% interest for 6 months.
Just give me $595.
$595 in rent and $422.20 in other things like car insurance and his electric, cable, things like that.
Then he moved in with you?
Yes.
Where does the other money come from?
The first thing is he spilled chlorophyll on my beige carpet in my spare bedroom. So I feel that...
When did he spill this on your carpet?
About 2 weeks after he moved in. And he promised me that he would pay to have the carpet cleaned.
Did you have it cleaned?
Yes, I did.
How much was it to have it cleaned?
$91.50.
Did you promise to have the carpet cleaned?
Yes.
What's next?
He also put a hole in the wall when he was moving out that he needs to...
Did you put a hole in the wall?
I was disassembling my computer desk. A piece had fallen over and punched a hole about this size in the wall, and I did offer to pay for that repair.
And what is that repair?
That was at $25.
What's next?
That's it, minus the interest from my credit card debt.
The bills alone that you paid for him come to $1,133.50. Where do you get $3,000 from?
Because I have a 6-month interest fee on the December charges that I did for him. The interest is mounting, and I feel that he should pay that because he did put those on my credit cards knowing that he was going to have to pay the interest as well.
No, you never told me that he agreed to pay interest.
He knew that there was going to be interest because I put them on my credit cards.
We're still not up to $3,000, Ms. Bennett.
He also ran up my phone bill while he was living there. He did not pay any expenses. I paid for his food. I paid for everything when he was living there for a month and a half.
So?
Well, I think that he should pay for at least part of the phone bill that he ran up.
Did you have that as an agreement with him?
He was supposed to pay me some money back as soon as he got a job, which he never did.
So he never did. Go
Your
ahead.
Honor, there was some conversation between Lisa and I stating that of what I was willing to give her. At the time I had lost my job, at that time she offered for me to come live with her. There was no, you owe me, after this is over or till you get back on your feet.
No, listen to me, sir. She feels as if you should pay her for the time that you were living there some of the expenses. But there was never that agreement. She feels as if it would be right. Well, we don't deal with that in court. We deal with what contracts are made. Contracts are made either verbally or...
I have contracts here, Your Honor.
Contracts from what?
One from my witness who couldn't make it.
Forget it. I'm not interested. Take it, throw it in the garbage. Next.
It's another witness statement.
Take it and throw it in the garbage. What else?
I have a check here that I had given her.
You gave her a check for how much?
$200.
Was that for expenses while you were living there?
Yes, just for, that's the only money I could come across at the time I was unemployed.
Fine, so you still owe her $1,133.50, right?
Okay.
Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He was sleeping till 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. He didn't go on one job interview the whole time he was with me, so I was pretty much had it by the time I kicked him out.
I told her that I would start paying her as soon as I started working, and I only started working about 3 weeks ago.
Never lend a guy money without him.
5-year-old bill collector Holly Shuping is suing her brother, 32-year-old truck driver David Shuping, for the return of stolen money and for making false allegations to Child Protective Services.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 460 on the calendar in the matter of Shuping versus Shuping. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
This Shuping, the defendant is your brother.
That's right.
According to your complaint, which has 2 parts, you borrowed some money from your sister Tracy.
Yes, I did.
$440. You gave the money to your brother to give back to your sister.
Yes, ma'am.
Your brother did not give the money back to your sister because he says your sister owed him some money for something else, so he kept the money.
Exactly.
The second part of your complaint is, after this happened, he called Child Protective Services and he told them that you were neglecting your children.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were investigated, and now you have a record with Child Protective Services. With regard to that part of the complaint, your brother says he got tired of listening to you verbally abusing your children, and everything that he reported to Child Protective Services was true.
Yes, ma'am.
So far, that's the case.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Where is Tracy?
She's in the courtroom somewhere.
Tracy,
Yes, ma'am.
could you step up here, please, and have a seat over here? Because I'll be asking you a couple of questions. On what date did you borrow this money from your sister?
My sister did a Western Union quick collect for me on October 16th of 2001.
What did you need the money for?
I had gotten behind on my mortgage payments because I'd had surgery on my arm, and she agreed to let me have the money as long as I paid her back by the weekend.
Now, how did it come about that you gave your brother the money?
I had surgery on the 18th of October. I ended up having to spend the night in the hospital, and my brother showed up at my house Monday morning and told me that my sister had sent him to get the money.
Tracy, you want to step up here, please? Would you swear her, please? Thank
Ma'am,
you.
raise your right hand. You swear or affirm to tell the truth in these matters?
Yes.
Thank you.
Is your last name Shupik?
Rogers.
Miss Rogers, did you ask your brother to get the money from your sister?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you have that conversation with him?
I believe it was that Friday. I'd talked to her like a Wednesday, and I was scared that I was going to have some checks to bounce. So I asked him to go by there and pick up the check and put the money in my account.
So, Miss Rogers, it would be a fair statement that your brother was acting as your agent in getting this money from your sister.
Yes, ma'am.
Your sister doesn't owe you the money anymore. When you asked your brother to go and pick up that money, he became your agent, which means that if he did something wrong with that money, if he appropriated the money for his own use, if he used it to set off a debt, if he lost it, he was acting on your behalf. Your sister fulfilled her obligation to you when she gave that money to your agent, who was your brother. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Consider the debt to your sister paid. If she wants to sue him for the money, she can. If he didn't follow her directions, then she has a suit against him, but you do not. You have paid your sister. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. You want your money? Get it from your brother. You got it?
Yes,
Perfect.
ma'am.
Now you are excused. Now let's get to the Child Protective Services point. When did you call Child Protective Services, sir?
They came to my house on December the 12th, so I would say it's approximately 7 to 10 days after that date.
Was this the first time you would call Child Protective Services?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Why did you call Child Protective Services?
Well, I just felt in my heart that she was verbally abusive to her children.
When did you see the instance of verbal abuse?
Well, she lived with me at one time, and after about a 4 or 5 day period, I had...
When did she live with you?
I would say approximately a year prior to this date, but I'd witnessed this on through the years until that time.
When was the last time you had seen her, according to you, verbally abusing her children?
Well, sometimes I heard it on the telephone, but I didn't always witness it myself. But
when was the last time you witnessed it, sir?
I would say the Sunday before.
Sunday before what?
The 12th. I would say that Sunday before the 12th.
Tell me where you were and what you heard.
I was at my sister's house.
Which sister?
Holly's. Fulfilling a visitation order that I was awarded to see my daughter.
Your sister has custody of your daughter?
No, she's just real good friends with the person that...
I'm a mediator.
She's a mediator. So you are allowed to see your child at your sister's house?
Yeah, it was a supervised visitation for 4 visits.
I got it. You were allowed to see your child at your sister's house?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what you saw or heard.
She was telling Autumn, her daughter, to shut up and to go on and keep her mouth shut in a very...
I want to hear it. Go ahead.
In a very aggressive tone of voice and manner that I felt was, you know, subjective to a child, that she shouldn't be hearing that type of voice spoke to her. I just felt it was my duty to call.
So you heard her tell her daughter to shut up?
Yes, ma'am.
In an aggressive tone. How old is her daughter?
16, 15.
14.
What else did you hear, sir?
Well, basically, it's gone on for a while. I mean, but it just, it got to a point.
Tell me what else that you heard, sir. So that's what you heard a week before. You told her to tell her 14-year-old daughter to shut up in an aggressive voice. Tell me immediately prior to that what you heard.
Well, I can't remember prior to that. All I know
well,
is
it's
that
December
she was,
12th, sir.
You know, very moving her hands like this and telling her daughter to shut up, to get in the house, and I just felt that, you know, that tone of voice or just the hand gestures itself, you know, wasn't tolerated. She shouldn't talk to her children.
Now, you have supervised visitation. How old is the child that you have supervised visitation with?
3 years old.
Is there any reason why the court ordered supervised visitation?
It was a mutual agreement between me and the mother of the child.
You mean you agreed to supervised visitation?
Well, they felt it was in the child's best interest.
Yeah, people usually don't agree to supervised visitation. Are you friendly with your former sister-in-law?
Yeah, and his daughter.
Just a minute.
Okay.
I'm going to get to the bottom of this.
Okay.
Trust me, Miss Shuping. I've been around, you know, around the yard on this kind of case before.
Says her brother, David Shuping, stole money from their sister. Holly also claims David filed false charges with Child Protective Services.
You are friendly with his former wife?
Girlfriend.
Or former girlfriend? They were looking for someone to act as supervisor for the visitation.
Exactly.
Was your brother happy with that?
In the beginning, yeah, but in the end, no.
What happened towards the end, Miss Shuping?
There was an incident where he came to one of the visits and the new girlfriend was asked to leave.
Who asked the new girlfriend to leave?
I did, because of...
Is this the new girlfriend?
Yes, ma'am.
Was he supposed to come alone to the supervised visitation?
Exactly.
And what happened when you asked her to leave?
The law ended up having to be called, and there was a big argument, busting and fighting, carrying on.
Well, tell me exactly what happened. You asked the girlfriend to leave.
And she said, I'm making a stand, I'm not leaving. He's here to see his daughter, which was the first visit that he'd ever seen her in 3 years.
So this was at the first visit?
Yes, ma'am.
What date was that?
It was, wait a minute, I'll tell you exactly.
November the 9th.
Yeah.
11th.
And the police were called?
Yes, ma'am.
And when the police were called, was the visit terminated?
Yes, ma'am. He stayed long enough for her to open her birthday presents, and then he left.
And what about the girlfriend? Did she leave or
She
stay?
stood in the middle of the road in front of my house
Sat in my truck.
and took pictures.
Be quiet.
Was sitting
I'm not
inside
talking
of
to
a
you.
truck and taking pictures of everybody standing in my yard.
Did your brother come again for visits?
Yes, ma'am. He comes regular now, still.
To your house?
No, he has it at his ex-girlfriend.
His ex-girlfriend's house?
Mm-hmm.
Was the November 9th visit the last visit that was conducted at your house?
Yes, ma'am.
So it was the first and the last visit that was
Mm-hmm.
conducted at your house?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, about a week prior to this December 12th, when your brother made the call,
He made the call on November 16th. I've got my paper here.
may I see it, please?
Yes, ma'am. He called 3 days after he called and cussed me out and told me he was going to call. And what he told him was...
Just 1 second.
Okay.
So, Mr. Shuping, you were mistaken about the date, sir. Clearly from this letter from Social Services. You did not call about a week before the December 12th call, because you said it was December 12th. You called on November the 16th.
Well, I got the dates written right here. I did tell you the wrong date.
Well, you did tell me the wrong
Yeah,
date,
it was
sir, because this was approximately 7 days after the altercation at your sister's house, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Shuping, sounds to me like this was a vindictive call to Social Services, sir.
Well, I told her I was going to call. And the reason I did call is because someone... My first visit, by the way, was on November the 11th, and someone called on me the November the 13th and said I was abusing my kids, too.
I didn't call on him, though, and I told him that I didn't call on him.
And that's the reason I called her and told her I didn't appreciate that phone call to Catawba County, and I would be returning the favor.
Then I am correct. You did it not because you feared for your 14-year-old niece's welfare because her mother was yelling at her, but because you were angry because someone had called Social Services because of your alleged actions. That's what you just said to me. Is that right?
Well, it wasn't in
Well
that
is not an
stance.
answer, sir.
It's not in that stance. It's
exactly that way. You acted like an idiot by bringing your girlfriend to your first visit with your 3-year-old in a very long time. Not her visit, it's your visit. It's your visit. And before you introduce another person into your child's life, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to get to know your child yourself. How long had it been since you saw your daughter?
Well, it's been...
Not well. Give me an answer.
I seen her the first day when she came home from the hospital.
And then you didn't see her for how long?
I paid child support for 2 years.
I don't care about your child support.
And
I'm asking you, when was the last time you saw your child prior to November 9th?
I haven't.
Well, if you haven't, then you're an idiot for bringing your girlfriend along. And she's an idiot for coming. Because what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to have a single-minded purpose, which is to let your daughter get to know you. And if your sister said, let her leave because I don't want to get into hot water with the mother of my niece, who I'm doing this for, then what you do is you don't make a scene.
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't either. And you acted in a retaliatory fashion by picking up the phone and calling Social Services on your sister. It was nothing more than vindictive. It had nothing to do with child welfare. And, sir, you are going to pay for that. Because while you don't owe this lady any money for the $440 that she gave you to pay back this sister, she's suing you for $4,000, most of which is the aggravation that was caused because her name will remain in the state central registry for child abuse and neglect for a very long time, without any cause whatsoever, because you used this to get even. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,000, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Nurse David Cushing is suing his former friend, 18-year-old gas station attendant Mike Rice, for damage to his home. David says he allowed Mike to throw a New Year's party, and his friends trashed the house.
Mr. Cushel, do you live in a house or an apartment?
In a house, Your Honor.
Is it a house that you own or rent?
I own it, Your Honor.
Defendant was a friend of yours?
Correct.
According to your complaint, the defendant invited you to a New Year's Eve party that he was going to have at a hotel. You volunteered to let him have the party at your home. You were not going to be home New Year's Eve. Is that right?
He indicated he was going to have a get-together with a few friends, maybe up to a dozen friends at a hotel party.
Just listen to me. You volunteered to let him use your home. You weren't going to be home New Year's Eve. Is that correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
I'll get to some specifics in a minute. Let me just lay out the case. He had the party. your house was trashed. You want him to pay for all of the damage that was done to your house.
Correct, Your Honor.
That's the case. And Mr. Rice says, what?
I was there.
Is not an answer.
Okay, sorry about that. I was there, and I had a few friends over, and some more showed up than I invited. And at midnight, some friends got in some fights, and they broke some of his stuff.
So?
So I don't think I should be held responsible because it was my friends and not me.
You were there?
Yes, I was.
You know which friends damaged the property?
Yes, I do.
Sue them. After he sues you, gave you permission to use his home for the purpose of a party. If more people show up than you had invited, you have a responsibility to eject them. If things get out of hand, you have the responsibility of calling the police. If either they refuse to leave or start to get into any altercations at the house. But you are responsible. He's not responsible. Why is he responsible?
It's his house, and he never delegated any responsibility.
Of course he did. Let me see pictures of the damage to the house. I'm inordinately calm because this is an inordinately easy case to decide.
I can go through the pictures if you'd like, Your Honor, explaining. Some are kind of hard to see.
What happened to the trees?
There was a lot of tracks through the yards. Cars had driven from the street through the yard and missed the driveway by a few hundred feet, apparently, and the trees must have been in the way. The dogs didn't know what to do that next morning. No post-traumatic stress disorder, but I think they're okay.
That's not on here, is it?
No, ma'am.
When did you buy this house, sir?
We finished construction about a year and a half ago, Your Honor. The estimates are just for materials. They don't include labor with the exception of the flooring.
Would you tell me why you let him use your house for this party?
Unfortunately, a few months before New Year's Eve, we'd lost a mutual friend to a motor vehicle accident. Mike indicated he was having a get-together with his friends at a hotel that was over half an hour from town. My house is in town. My roommate was going to be there. He was having a few friends over, and I felt that everything would be all right, and I didn't want to have that same experience with anyone else. You know, sometimes people have to drive after they've been, you know, getting together, and I know they could crash in my house and be no problem.
Well, they put cigarettes out on your floor, on your carpet. They put holes in your walls. How long had you been living there?
About a year and a half, Your Honor.
Looks like you did a nice job before the place got trashed. Anything else you want to tell me, Mr. Rice?
Yes, I believe that his roommate, Chuck, is also partially responsible. He had friends over with us. He was there the whole time. I believe that if he thought something was going on wrong, I mean, he lived there, he could have said something, told him to leave.
Why, were his friends involved in vandalizing the property?
No, they were not.
Yours were involved in vandalizing the property?
Yes, they were.
Then you're responsible, sir. You're responsible for their actions. Now, you can sue them and say, listen, I was forced to pay for the damage you did, but how do I know that you weren't partially responsible for the damage? How do I know that?
You don't.
I don't. If you know the names of the people who did, it's not up to him to go out and search for them. He was doing a good deed. What?
Your Honor, Chuck can explain what happened that evening to make it more clear in regards to what happened during the party. He was there the entire time and attempted to actually get it to slow down without success.
Chuck, you were unsuccessful. Don't get up. Mr. Kushel.
Yes, Your Honor.
You don't need any water. It's not going to take that long. You're suing the defendant for $3,000. Your costs are in excess of that, but that's your lawsuit, $3,000. And I assume, sir, your next stop is going to be small claims court, where you file a claim against all of these people to reimburse you for this $3,000, right? Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $3,000. Have a good day.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think it's great. Judge Judy, she had a good verdict, and you know, we're going to get paid finally and get this house cleaned up.
She totally put everything on me, and I don't believe it was all my fault.
This trash, I mean, unbelievable. It was like a tornado came through.
Some people got in some fights. There was little disruptions. People got thrown through some doors, stuff like that.
Do not loan your house out to other people when you're not home. It's not.
41-year-old defense contractor David Gilbert is suing his ex-fiancée, 40-year-old marketing manager Joanne Lucido, for stealing $5,000 from his savings account.
Order. All rise. Yes, this is case number 423 on the calendar in the matter of Gilbert versus Lucido. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. Gilbert, you and the defendant were engaged to be married.
Yes, Your Honor.
You had your own home?
Yes,
and
Your
she
Honor.
had her own home.
Yes, Your Honor.
According to what I've read in your complaint, the two of you decided that it might be a good idea to buy a home together. And prior to either of you selling your homes in order to prepare to put down a down payment on a house, you closed out your 401k.
I took money out. I didn't close it out completely. I took money out of the 401k.
A little over $35,000.
Sure.
And you put that money in a joint account with the defendant. Sometime later, you were away on a business trip. Your fiance got into a discussion with your former wife. They exchanged a lot of nasties. She left, and she took out about $5,000 from this joint bank account that you had set up for the house. So I have a few questions. This joint account that you set up, was the only money in that account the money that you had taken out of your 401k?
The savings account was purely savings. The only transactions that happened to it was my putting the money in and her taking the money out.
Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
And am I correct that there was a discussion between the two of you that that money was going to be used as a down payment on the house?
That is
Yes,
not
sure.
correct.
That is not correct.
That is not correct, Your
Well,
Honor.
tell me what you thought that that money was for.
Okay, well, David and I both put it into the savings account. We opened up a new savings account, and then he had it linked to my checking account so that his name was also on my checking account, which was fine by me. I was in love. I was going to marry the man. I wanted to be able to have our money shared. I have a written and verbal contract, Your Honor, that states that our money was our monies, and I didn't just take his money and use it.
Were you living together at the time?
Yes.
In whose house?
Mine.
And how did you pay joint bills?
I paid them all.
Out of your checking account?
Correct.
Did the plaintiff give you any money towards those bills?
No, he did not.
Is that right?
Towards those bills, no, Your Honor, but I did several things around the house to fix the house up. Dinners.
I don't care about that. How long had you lived together?
About 2 months, I think.
2.5 months, Your Honor.
Now you're going to tell me, Miss Lucido, what you took that money for.
Primarily for a MasterCard payment.
A MasterCard payment?
Yes, I
have.
have.
Let me see it, please.
Okay. I put $3,500 cash toward the MasterCard payment.
Let me see it.
Okay.
Well, there are lots of charges here. PGA National Spa, what is that?
That was a European health spa for a massage.
For whom?
Myself.
I have charged you for Banana Republic. What was that for?
That was for a gift certificate.
For whom?
For a client of mine.
For you?
No, for a client of mine.
But it's your charge.
Okay, yes.
The party outlet.
That was for our wedding stuff. We had invitations, centerpieces, silk flowers, a whole lot of arrangement things that were being purchased.
Okay, because I have lots of check marks here. All these things seem to be check marked. PGA National Spa, again, $80. Is that for another massage?
Yes, Your Honor, that was for a
And
client.
another one for $67?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
A lot of cafes and restaurants.
Correct. Food, clothing. I bought him a new wardrobe from head to toe, including jewelry.
Well, why did you do that?
Because I loved him. And the whole reason that this whole thing incurred was David cheated on me, and I ended...
I don't want to hear about him cheating on you.
Okay.
You left.
I
you
didn't
separated.
leave, Your Honor. His belongings were moved back to his home.
Fine. Whatever happened. You separated. And I want to know what you took the money for. First, you told me it was for a MasterCard.
It is.
Okay? Well, the
MasterCard.
Just a second. The
Okay.
MasterCard has mostly your charges on it. He's not responsible for your charges.
I understand that, Your Honor.
Fine. So what did you take the $5,000 plus for?
Primarily, I made the MasterCard payment. I used some of the money for the car that I had to purchase. We agreed to lease a car. My other truck was paid for. I never had a car payment. Now I have a lease to pay for every month.
So what you're saying is that because this relationship, for whatever reason, didn't work out, you put yourself in a position of having to make a car payment when you didn't have one before, even though you have the car. and you think he should be responsible for that.
No, I'm not holding him responsible
Well, then,
for it.
what did you take this money for? This was his money.
To help out with the expenses. I have a checking account that I had a lot of checks written out, MasterCard, American Express, that were both our expenses.
Well, I'm asking you, what both expenses? Tell me, what expenses were both?
Clothing, food, groceries, the car. There was a lot, a list.
You are not entitled to take that money.
Your Honor, I have a written contract here, in all due respect, that we had a written and verbal agreement that either could withdraw any amount of money. May I submit this to you, please? He had me the primary account holder, so it was my Social Security number on here on the front. And on the back, it clearly states what we both read, that either one of us were allowed any of that money, and the only reason I used it was for expenses.
Miss Lucido, you don't seem to understand. You don't seem to get it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today, fiancé Joanne Lucido broke off their engagement and took $5,000 from his savings account.
Miss Lucido, you had no agreement with regard to buying a car, food, any other expenses that you may have had, your massages or any other stuff, that you could take this money out of the savings account that was earmarked as a down payment for a new house, because otherwise the money would have been put in a checking account if it was to be used for expenses. Why would somebody who was under the age of 59.5 years old take out money from their 401k, which in all probability will incur some tax consequence, unless it was for a specific purpose, which was to pay for a new house?
And also wedding, and also expenses as needed. That was our agreement. I have friends that overheard.
Is this money to be used for expenses as needed?
Your Honor, it was for the purpose of a house.
What kind of business are you in?
I work for a defense contractor.
Okay. So you have a steady job, and you have your own credit card?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you, in fact, when you went out with the defendant,
buy her dinner? Yes, Your Honor.
Well, buy dinner for the two of you, because I see a lot of charges here for food. Food in restaurants.
Your Honor, whenever we went out to dinner, I purchased the dinners.
Do you take people out for business?
Yes, I do.
Fine. That's where all these lunches are.
Some of the lunches, Your Honor, I have taken Dave out to lunch and paid for that also.
He had no right to empty his bank account when you left. None whatsoever. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's a liar. He's a cheater.
I was kind of shocked that she, one, had a conversation with my ex-wife, and two, never gave me a chance to talk about it.
Listen to your best friend. Don't go for the pretty boys.
When you fall in love, it's all right to trust with your heart, but maybe not with your wallet.
31-year-old hairstylist Heather Barclay is suing her ex-roommate, 26-year-old hairstylist Melissa Case, for unpaid rent. Melissa says Heather forgave the debt.
Miss Barclay, according to your complaint, you knew the defendant from some sort of a beauty school, a beauty parlor, is that right?
We worked together at a beauty salon, yes.
You had a house, you needed a roommate.
Yep.
She needed a place to live. You have a child?
Yes, ma'am.
5-year-old?
5.
And she agreed to become a tenant.
Correct.
According to you, she left unceremoniously without giving you much notice, and she owes you some $1,500 in rent.
Yes.
Defendant says that while she did not pay all the rent that she should have while she was there, you forgave it because you knew she didn't have a job. That's your defense.
Basically, yes.
When did she move in?
She moved in on August the 14th.
And what was the rent arrangement?
Our agreement was that she would live with me. She got 2 bedrooms and a bathroom, and that it would be $650 a month, all bills paid. And the only thing that I asked was that she give me 30 days notice if she wanted to leave, or that if I chose for her to go, that I would give her 30 days notice just out of respect.
All right. Ms. Case, was that your agreement?
Yes, ma'am.
Was rent paid for the 2 weeks in August?
Part of the rent was paid. I told her that I would prorate it, whatever the daily rate was, times however many days she was going to be there, and she gave me $200. The total was actually $369 for that time.
And what about September?
I have this ledger right here, and I kept record. She did pay me another $100 in September, but every time the first of the month would come up, the $650 would be owed again. So her debt would continue to get higher and higher.
I'm not really good at math, as a bird can attest to. So far, she owes you $169 for August.
Correct.
And she paid you $100 in September.
Actually, she paid me another $300 in September.
She did give you another $300 in September. So now we're down to $250 that's owed for September.
Correct.
And what about October?
In October, she paid me another $160.
$490, that means, was owing for the month of October.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
And then she moved out in November?
Yes.
November what?
I believe she moved out on the 4th of November.
Did you move out on the 4th of November?
No, ma'am. I moved
When-
out on the 1st. I moved out prior to her birthday.
She did not. She moved out on the Sunday after my birthday, which is the 4th. My birthday is on the 3rd.
Did you give her any notice when you moved out?
I had given her a letter letting her know that, no, it wasn't 30 days notice, but I did give her notice that I was leaving.
The letter did not say when she was leaving. The letter said, my intention is to leave because of our prior agreement. I assumed it would be 30 days after I received the letter. I received the letter on October 31st. I have it right here.
Can I see it, please?
So my assumption was that she would be moving out on November the 30th.
The letter says that I'm not giving her 30 days notice.
It also doesn't say when she's leaving. And I didn't have an opportunity to talk to her because I only saw her one time after I got the letter.
She hadn't spoken to me in weeks, though. This all could have been discussed
You know, I'm trying
prior.
to add and I can't hear you. So if we're talking, forget the 30-day notice provision, if we're talking about just the time she actually lived there, it comes to about $909 that was owed to you.
Yes.
Okay. Well, this is a very sweet letter, honestly. It appears from the letter that the financial problems that you had, you understood created a situation that was unfair to her.
Heather Barkley says ex-roommate Melissa Case owes for unpaid rent. Melissa says Heather told her to pay what she could.
Okay, how come you weren't able to pay your rent?
When I worked with Heather, I was put on a leave of absence at the beginning of July to allow me to finish school. There was a lot of stress. I had been going through a divorce since the July of 2000. Just a lot of things going on in my life. They put me on a leave of absence. Ms. Barclay told me that I could come back once I graduated. I would become a stylist, and I was under that knowledge going back to school. Came back to about a week before graduating. She told me I should contact our boss, let him know how things were going, make sure he knew I was getting ready to graduate. Had 2 conversations with him.
When was this?
In August, about maybe a week and a half prior to my graduating.
Okay.
We talked about the fact that she had let him know that she had wanted me to move in, that I was probably going to do it. He thought that that would be a good idea. She's a good person, she's a good influence, that it would be a positive thing. He said that he had some questions as to my behavior in the salon prior to that. I had hung out with some girls that partied a little bit too much, things like that. I said, okay. I graduated. I moved in with Heather on the 14th because my son started school the next day. About a week after me moving in, she told me that I should just let go of it, that I probably wouldn't have a job there. And I said, well, what do you know? Heather's one of the supervisors there. She's in on all the meetings with the owners. She knew that I wasn't going to have a job there.
No, I didn't know that you didn't have a job. I can tell you by the owner's behavior and the way he was giving me the runaround. He started treating me very weird, too. And I kept asking him, you know, don't worry, Missy's we were short on stylists. We needed help badly. I said, don't forget, we've got Missy coming on board. And he kept skirting the issue and acting really weird. And it started to make me very uncomfortable. And I started to get very upset with him because he also gave me the impression that she had a job there waiting. And he started acting really creepy, and it really hurt me because he made me look like a fool to her because I was her supervisor, and I was the one that had to tell her about the leave of absence because he didn't want to have to do it. So not only did he make me look bad to her, he made me look bad to everybody, and it made me very upset. And it made me believe he had no integrity.
Sounds
and
like
so
a coward.
I told, exactly.
Did you quit?
I don't work there anymore. So I did tell her.
That was discussed the whole time we lived there. That had caused a lot of emotional stress between the two of us also, and that was, you know.
And I told her because I cared about her. She was one of my best friends in the world, and I said,
I see that
you
from
know
the
what?
letter.
I said, you're better off not coming back to work for a man that's going to treat you this way. I said, and it makes me question my position in this company, too. And I did not know, and he hurt me as badly with that decision as he did her.
They're such cowards, aren't they?
Exactly. So I had no prior knowledge. I wanted her to live with me. It was going to be a great situation, and it went bad fast. And I tried to be patient with her. I talked to her. We never fought. There was never ugliness in her house. I loved her son. Everything was great. That's why it hurt me so badly that she left the way that she did, because I'd always offered a safe place for her to talk to me about what was going on in her life. I'd been incredibly patient about the fact that she wasn't paying me. She knew that I am not independently wealthy. I need a roommate to survive.
Had you had one immediately before?
I had one, a guy that was in college that lived with me, and he graduated from college and left in May. Missy and I started talking about at work her possibly moving in with me.
So you didn't have anyone
I held the room empty for 2 months. I made a lot of sacrifices to let her live there. I went and had to pay the bills by myself for 2 months just to create this situation for her.
Do you have a roommate now?
I do.
You do?
Yes.
Are you working now?
Yes. I started a job Tuesday.
Great. Let me hear your defense.
When I didn't have a job to go back to, I began looking for other employment. It took me a month before I went before the state board to get my license. I went to work in a salon, and I wasn't making very much money. My last day of work there, I made $17. So I didn't have any money to give her. Had I known I wasn't going to be employed,
I understand that.
I wouldn't
Tell me
have
about
left.
the conversation that you had with
When
her with regard
I
to...
told her, I'm not sure how I'm going to pay you. And she said, don't worry about it. Pay me what you can. And I said, okay.
She was
and we went
referring
from
to
there.
our debt.
She told me that maybe I should get food stamps and give them to her as payment for the rent, or that I should go to the Department of Human Services and try to get rent assistance to give that to her.
Did I say that, or did you say that?
Just a second. Don't talk to her.
Okay.
Okay. My sense, Ms. Case, is that what the plaintiff was saying to you was she anticipated that you were going to be living with her for a substantial period of time, and that eventually you would have a job that gave you enough income not only to pay your rent, but to pay her what you owed her, which was really nice because another landlord wouldn't let you do that, right?
Correct.
So clearly, you acknowledge in this letter of October 31st that you owe her money because you said, I have every intention of paying you the money I owe.
Right, but to my knowledge, I didn't owe $1,500, nor did I owe $900.
Well, you do.
For that
This was
matter.
hanging on the
Just a
refrigerator
second,
the
but
whole
you
time
do-
that she lived
But
there.
you do. Do you have any evidence that you gave her monies in addition to what?
I don't have any bank accounts. Everything I gave her was in cash.
So if you don't know, then I have to take her record of what you gave her. And if you weren't working for a substantial period of time, it's very likely that you didn't give her more money. You owe her $909. And Ms. Barkley, with regard to the 30-day notice,
Yes.
I've read the letter, and the letter said, let me get out of here before I build up any more debts to you so that you can start looking for a new roommate. I have a sense that there was some tension based upon this letter before she moved out. She says, you know, our friendship is worth more to me than you think, is what she says in the letter.
Which surprises me because I haven't heard from her since. If she was so concerned about our friendship, then why did she turn her back
Okay.
on me?
Okay.
I was
So, Ms.
trying to create a
Ms.
friendship still, and she wouldn't have anything to do with me.
So,
That's
Ms.
not
Barkley,
true.
listen to me. Let's say she was embarrassed.
I'm pretty sure that's probably what was going on.
Let's say she was
Because
embarrassed.
she knows that she ruined our friendship.
And that's what happens sometimes when you're a borrower.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's just easier to say, I'm going to turn this off so that it'll go away, which is a very sad thing because I think that you legitimately care for each other.
Right.
All right, so maybe you can make up and go and have a cup of coffee after today. I certainly hope so. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $909. Good luck.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It's a shame that I had to lose a friend for this.
It's very disappointing because I made a lot of sacrifices.
She knows it's hard when you first start out.
When someone betrays your trust, it's a really hard thing to fix.
It wasn't intentional at all.
She made money more important than our friendship.
I worked where I could. I made what I could.
I realized that she didn't do it with malice.
She was a good influence. She had, you know, she helped me a lot.
And it's disappointing that I had to lose a friend.
I really did lose some.
Teacher Deborah Siegfried is suing former friend, 24-year-old customer service rep Deanna McGeorge for half the cost of a brand new car won in a radio contest.
Order. All rise. Yes, this is case number 310 on the calendar in the matter of Siegfried versus McGeorge. Parties have been sworn. You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Ms. Siegfried, it is your complaint that the defendant reneged on an agreement that the two of you had when you entered into a contest. And the contest, which you'll explain to me, had as its prize a car. And you claim that the defendant agreed that if she won the car, she would either sell the car and give you half of the proceeds, but she would share the prize with you, and likewise, if you won, you would share it with her. She, in fact, won the car and refuses to sell it or give you half of its value. That's what the case is about.
Right.
So, this was a good friend of yours?
A very good friend of mine, yes.
Now tell me about the contest.
It was actually put on by a local radio station. The two of us...
Where?
In L.A. We were going to try to win tickets to see a particular group.
A group? What kind of group?
NSYNC.
I've heard of them.
We were trying to win concert tickets through this radio station, and we had been calling for over a week. We'd been trying very hard to win these tickets, and in the process, through one of the times that we called, Deanna was asked if she would like to participate in another contest that they had running at the same time, which involved sitting in a car for a week. And at that time, I was with Deanna when she was on the phone with the radio station. And
where were you?
We were actually in my car coming home from a mall where we were meeting one of the DJs from the radio station. And we had decided when we left the mall that let's try and win the tickets again. So she continued calling, and at that time, she was asked, would you like to be in a car contest? And her response was, would this make me lose out on winning the tickets to the concert? And they told her yes, that you would not be eligible any longer to win the tickets. And she's like, well, I don't know. And I'm all, just do it. It'd be fun. Just do it. So she's decided now at this point that she's going to be in the contest.
All right. Now, what exactly was the contest?
She was to sit in a car for a week.
Alone?
No, there were other contestants that were going to be participating. The original rules set forth were that the person who stayed in the car the longest would win the car. And when myself and her went down to the contest, I drove her down there. We found out prior to the contest at the beginning that it would end on Sunday regardless of...
How many people's tuchuses were still in the car?
There were 2 cars.
Okay.
And in one car there were 4 people, and in our car there was myself, Deanna, and another contestant.
They couldn't get 4 people. They
That's
couldn't
correct.
get 4 lunatics. to
That's
sit in the
correct.
car.
They suckered me into it instead.
Okay, so you got down there with her and they said, would you like to sit in the car too?
Right. They asked me if I would be interested in staying in the car because they didn't have enough contestants to participate. So they asked me if I would be interested in staying down there. I wasn't very...
Was it the same radio station that was running this contest?
The same radio station, yes, that was giving away the tickets for the concert, yes.
And at the end of the contest, which was going to be that Sunday, if everybody is left in the car, how do they choose a winner?
They drew straws.
They said it would be a drawing.
Right.
That's all they said.
Okay. So the 2 of you stayed in the car for the entire week?
Yes, we did.
Is that right?
Yes.
How were you fed?
How were we fed? We were sponsored by a local restaurant that
They
brought
just
us,
gave you the food in
they
the car?
brought us meals throughout the day.
And what about potty breaks? How do you do that?
They specified them as 3-hour breaks, and at that time we were able to get out of the car for 15 minutes and do what we needed to do, to stretch and what have you.
And what about sleeping? You just slept whenever?
They slept in the car. I personally did not sleep for 4 days straight, but we slept in the car.
In the car?
In the position that we were sitting in. We were never able to leave the position of the car that we were in.
What if you had to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night?
You went in the car.
Seriously?
Nobody actually did that.
We never had that come up, but yes, that would have been...
Or you get out.
Or you get out of the car and go to the bathroom.
And then you're out of the contest?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And sometimes they didn't wake us
never
up to go.
last in a contest like that. Okay, so the end of the week came, and it's on Sunday, and the 3 of you were left in your car?
Right, correct. The other car, they had already designated a winner.
So, drew straws.
Correct.
And you picked?
It was actually numbered straws, and they had corresponding numbered envelopes that had keys in the envelopes. And I picked a straw with the number 2 on it and the envelope number 2, and they said whatever key started the car, that person was to win the car.
And you won?
Yes.
So now tell me about this contract that you allege you had with her. Because it's clear that she decided not to sell the car. She decided to keep the car. Friendship's over. She said, I'm not selling the car and I'm not giving any money.
Correct.
Now tell me your version of the contract that you had with her.
Okay. Simply, while we were sitting in the car, her and I discussed that we would sell the car and split the money from the car. And in the process, we would also win tickets to see NSYNC. One of us would get the tickets and we would split everything.
Okay, and did you get the NSYNC tickets?
Yes, I did.
And did you go with the defendant?
I did take the defendant to the concert.
So far, that's all right.
Mm-hmm.
Now tell me about your understanding of this agreement that you had with her.
As far as the agreement goes, when we got in the car together, she had mentioned something about if either one of us wins the car, let's sell it and split the money. And I had said, I don't want to agree to anything just yet. I don't know what the outcome of the contest is. So I can't say yes or no. I don't want to say yes or no because I don't know if I'm even going to win. I don't know if you're even going to win.
And this was a conversation that you said you had as soon as you got into the car?
It wasn't directly right when we got in the car, but
within a day or so?
The first day.
Within the first day?
Mm-hmm.
And you stayed in the car together for 5-6 days?
Mm-hmm. Nothing else was ever mentioned.
And did you speak to each other?
Yeah.
Friendly, laughing?
Mm-hmm.
Then I don't believe you. And I'm going to tell you why I don't believe you.
Okay.
If she's your friend and What she's saying is absolutely right. The two of you being in this contest certainly increased your chances of winning.
Right.
You got much better odds with the two of you deciding that whoever wins, it's going to be like a joint winning.
Right. Except that the whole reason I was doing this was because I was in some financial problems, and if I were to win the car, I wanted to use that to help
And what
me
if you lost everything? You think that if you lost everything, you would take the same position as you're taking now? No.
Siegfried says former friend Deanna McGeorge refuses to share a car they won in a radio contest. Deanna says they only agreed to share another prize, tickets to an NSYNC concert.
So you had financial problems, but you made an agreement with her. And the agreement was that if either of you won this contest, you were going to share the prize money. And how could you not?
that agreement?
Yes, you did. Sure you did. You may have put it in the back of your mind, forgot about it, said, it's not really what I meant. I said I would sell the car, but now I'm not going to sell the car because I really want the car. I'm going to keep the car, so where am I going to get money to give you? And forget it, and the friendship is over. It's really outrageous, Miss McGeorge. How long had you been
Well, that
friends?
wasn't exactly how it happened. We had been friends up way after the contest, and I had explained to her that I wasn't going to sell the car, and she was fine with that. Nothing was ever mentioned from the contest from the time of, I would say, April until about September. September is when she started all this.
Why?
Because we had gone on vacation in August together, and we both had some mishaps. We got in an argument, and when we got back, I hadn't called her for a couple days, and she left me a message on my voicemail, which I thought was very rude, and I didn't want to call her back. I was just wanting to take some time away from her because we had been in arguments, and I decided that I wasn't going to call her back.
Had you discussed between the time that you won this contest and the time you went on vacation what you were going to do with the car?
When I actually received the car in April, I had told her that I decided I was going to keep the car.
And what did she say to you at that point?
She really didn't say anything. We were in the gym, and she walked out on me.
She was angry.
Yeah, I understand.
She was
that.
angry.
I understand that.
Well, I just want to make sure that that's clear, that that was not, at least as far as she was concerned, her understanding.
Right.
You said to her, I decided to keep it. Bye. So she was angry. Another thing, did you win the concert tickets to NSYNC as a sort of a second prize?
I was given concert tickets to see NSYNC and also some tickets to another group.
How many tickets were you given to NSYNC?
At the time, they were only going to give me 2, but she had asked me if I could please ask the gentleman to get us 2 more because we had planned
I didn't
on...
ask her to.
I had asked on... We had planned on taking her niece and her niece's friend to the concert as well, so she thought that if I asked him for 4, he might give us 4, and then all 4 of us could go together.
But if you hadn't gotten the 4, and if you just got the 2, who was supposed to go?
It would be Deanna and myself.
And you, in fact, went?
Yes, we did.
So you split that prize money?
Yes, I did.
Or that prize, whatever it was?
Correct.
Isn't that registering with you?
Yeah.
Huh?
That register's just completely fine with me.
You're better off without her. You got it? Not an honorable person. What kind of car did you win?
It was a Kia Rio.
You have the value?
Yes, I do. I have 3 invoices.
Can I see it, please?
You wouldn't do that to me, would you?
I sure wouldn't. You wouldn't do that to me, would you?
No, never.
Huh? The lawsuit is for $5,000, which is maximum allowed in this court. Correct. Clearly half of the value of the car. Were there any things that you had to pay for on the car? Did you have to pay any taxes on the car?
Yes, I had
What
to
kind
pay.
of taxes did you have to pay?
The tax, title, and license.
Other than that, you have to pay income tax on winning.
Yeah, we haven't received anything yet because it comes at the end of the year.
Mhm.
It's a winning a prize tax.
You know how much it is?
I'm not exactly sure how much it is.
Do you work?
Yes.
What kind of work do you do?
Customer service. Retail.
How much do you earn?
Approximately $10 an hour.
A year.
About 20,000.
So you're probably in the 15% bracket, is that right?
That'd be about right.
Even deducting for the taxes that you would have to pay and that she would have to pay on these winnings and the tags and everything else, it's still in excess of the $5,000, which is the limit of this court, and I'm awarding you $5,000. You have to be an honorable person, that's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Excused, and they step out.
I feel that Judge Judy was very fair, and she took the time to listen to what I had to say, and I think she truly understood the facts of the case.
I think it's completely wrong that she should be getting $5,000.
I truly never wanted our friendship to end. I can't speak on Deanna's half, but I never wanted it to come to this.
It was never a complete agreement. We never agreed on anything.
Keeper Barbara Keck is suing her daughter's friend, 19-year-old receptionist Amanda Soleil, for causing her car to be towed and impounded.
Miss Keck, the defendant was living with your family.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this your daughter?
Yes, it is.
I assume she was a friend of your daughter's?
Yes.
You allowed her to use one of your cars. It was an older car. She had run into some transportation problems. She relied on her boyfriend, according to your complaint, for transportation. I assume this is boyfriend Jeff.
Yes.
Hi.
Right? And at some point, after a period of time, the car broke down.
Yes.
The car broke down at Jeff's place of employment.
Right.
The car was subsequently towed and impounded. You had considerable fees to get the car out of tow, and you believe that the defendant should be responsible for paying those fees.
Yes, I did.
She says the car was a piece of junk, basically.
I don't have a problem with that.
When did she come to live with your family?
I think it was in May, either early or latter part.
Why?
I understand that she and her mother weren't getting along, and her mother had asked her, you know, just go on and live somewhere else.
What would make you take her into your house?
She's my daughter's friend and had been since senior in high school. They're both in college now. And she'd been over to the house and dinners and, you know, proms and all that. So we were all good friends.
Did you charge her any rent?
No.
When did you give her the car to use?
Maybe early August.
Tell me about that.
She and Jeff were in a traffic accident, which totaled his truck. So, you know, after they came over and they were at dinner at our house, I think, talking about things, and I said, well, how are you going to get around? And so we just decided, well, shoot, we've got this Mazda, we'll let her use it.
Now, you tell me what happened with the car and when.
After she gave it to use it, it was September 6th, and I was dropping Jeff off at work.
So you'd used it for a while? You'd used it for about a month?
For about a month, yes. And I dropped him off at work that morning, and as I was saying goodbye, it just died, and which is normal because the whole time I used it, it would stop at stoplights, just like she said, and this time it just died. I couldn't get it to click over or anything, so we pushed it back into a parking spot, and I said to him, well, I'm going to have a car anyway, so we might as well go buy a car now. So he used a company truck, took me home, I called in sick to work, and then I went to buy a car. And after I bought the car, I came home that day. It was about 4 o'clock, and I told Barbara, I said, Barbara, come look at what I bought. So I came out to the driveway, and I said, I bought a car, and she goes, well, what prompted you to do this? And I said, well, your car broke down today on the way taking Jeff to work. And she said, oh, I said, well, I left it at Jeff's work. And then she said that she would talk to her husband, Bernard, about it, and they would discuss what we would do about it when he comes home the next day.
I'm not ready for you yet.
Oh, okay.
And did you have another discussion with Barbara?
During the period of the next week, it just kind of came up off and on. Nobody really said anything. I worked full-time, and we never sat down and totally discussed it.
Well, instead of going and buying a new truck that day, why didn't you call a tow truck and
Because
have the car and have the car towed back home?
Like, I've never had a car towed on me before, and I really didn't know what to do.
Well, you knew enough to go and buy a car. You have to fill out forms, you have to take it to be registered, you have to go to motor vehicles, you have to get insurance, right? And to get a car towed, you have to pick up the phone and look in the yellow pages and find towing and call and say, come pick up the car, and would you please bring it back to my residence? Now, which one seems harder to you?
Probably buying the car.
Right. And the towing fees were $455.
Right.
Well, you explained to me, young lady, why you don't think you are responsible for that.
Well, I feel that because I feel because the car was in her name, and the day that it broke down, I did come home and I did let her know.
After you bought a new car?
Yeah. Well, at the time, that seemed like the right thing to do to me. I don't.
No, it seemed like the selfish thing to do.
Buying the car was my idea.
Excuse me?
Buying the car was my idea. I had the money saved up, and I just said, you know.
Is anybody talking to him? Are you still living at her house?
No.
You lived there for how long?
From June until early September.
3 months she didn't charge you any rent.
Right.
Not $50 a month, not $100 a month. I assume you ate breakfast there. You said you had some dinners there. Jeff came over and ate there. Did she charge you when Jeff came over and ate dinner?
No, she didn't.
Nice lady. And let you have a car. There's no issue. Where's the issue? Why are we here? It was your responsibility to bring the car home and say, now I've fulfilled my responsibility. It was given to me in the driveway. I've returned it to the driveway. You got it? And if he thinks that that's wrong, oh, I'm dying to hear from him.
You're dying. Okay.
Stand up!
She said, okay, when she gave us that car, it breaks down at stoplights. If you crash it, I don't care. Just don't get it stolen. The insurance doesn't cover that. If it breaks down, leave it. If it does this, does that, leave it. I don't care. The car's garbage. It's an 83 or 86, doesn't matter. It's got over 200,000
Sit
miles.
down. This lady was very nice to you. Mr. Responsibility over here doesn't get it together as much as he should. You know, he doesn't understand that as an adult you have certain responsibilities. You should understand that. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $485. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think they probably should have had it towed back to the house. Well, it didn't go the way I planned.
It shouldn't say that you shouldn't trust me.
Child care service worker Brian Jenkins is suing former friend Tia Moon for an assault and for damaging his car with a bottle of cologne.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 455, sorry. In the matter of Jenkins versus Moon. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
Mr. Jenkins, the defendant is your former girlfriend.
Former acquaintance.
Did you date?
No, not really. I mean, we just basically just seen each other, spent some time together.
And it is your claim that she not only assaulted you in your home, but also purposely vandalized your car.
Yes, Your Honor.
When did this happen, sir?
It started the night of January 14th and ended up on the morning of January 15th.
And where did it start on the 14th?
I came to pick up Miss Moon from her for her place of residence at her friend's house. She had basically presented me this letter, basically stating her demeanor and her well-being.
What? I don't understand that. Let me see the letter.
Okay, here you go.
You went to pick her up at the place where she was living?
Yes, Your Honor.
What time?
It was about 8 o'clock, Your Honor.
Were you going out that evening?
No, she was basically just coming over to my apartment.
For what?
Probably just to spend some time.
And you would receive this letter before?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, clearly, Miss Moon thought that the relationship was more than just being an acquaintance.
Sure, Your Honor.
So after you read the letter, in which she tells you that she loves you,
sure,
and that you hurt her feelings, and that you don't love her back, and that you're not careful with her feelings, then you were taking her back to your house to hang out.
We had basically were discussing some confrontations of the letter.
You were discussing what?
The letter. And basically of my feelings towards her.
What did you tell her your feelings were?
I do not take love for granted, and I was not going to tell Miss Moon that I love her when I did not do so, and I was not going to string her along like that.
So what'd you take her back to your house for?
To spend some time.
And what happened when you got to your house?
Basically, we had continued to discuss some more things. She had basically told me that she had a present for me. She let me open up the present. I seen what the present was.
What was it?
A tape.
A tape, okay.
A videotape, Your Honor.
Okay.
Seen the videotape, and pretty much I knew where she was coming from once I seen the actual videotape.
So I assume it was a sexually explicit videotape from the way you're avoiding the subject.
I guess that would be a good assumption, Your Honor.
Okay.
I mean, I try to avoid that, but...
Did you watch the tape with her?
Yes, Your Honor.
And after you watched the tape with her, what happened?
We had...
Look at me when you're talking.
Yes, Your Honor. We had actually became a little bit intimate, but it got to the point to where she was more like, no. Okay, well, why? What's going on? And she had priorly told me about how she had went to go take a pregnancy test that she was happy about, so to say, that she wasn't pregnant. I had seemed very relieved, but then she got upset again. It was more like, well, why are you so relieved? And I'm like, well...
And this was the discussion you had on the 14th?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now let's move it along to when you say she attacked you.
The discussion got to where she left the bedroom, and I followed her out of the bedroom. She continuously was loud, disrespectful, yelling, cursing at me. I'd asked her to stop many a times. So we got to the point to where I had asked Miss Moon to leave. I basically was fed up of her actually being very disrespectful. Ms. Moon actually taking her time as to where she wanted to leave my apartment. I had basically started removing her things onto my front porch.
So she said she didn't want to have sex with you, so you were throwing her things out the door.
No,
Is that?
That's not true, Your Honor.
Well, that sounds, I mean, when you cut through all the baloney that you're giving me, sir, you followed her out of the bedroom, right? Because she's
Sure, Your
still
Honor.
saying no after you watch this video and everybody's all charged up and their juices are all flowing, at least yours were. She's arguing, you don't love me, I love you, you don't give back, take your stuff and get out. You gathered up her stuff and you threw them out the front porch.
That's not true, Your Honor. I asked her to leave my apartment because she was cursing at me, yelling at me, screaming at me, and also banging things on
There
my
had to
floor.
be something happened in between, sir. If she said no, 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 I changed my mind. You must have said something. You said, how come you changed your mind?
Something along the lines is where, why? What's going on? Why are you acting so different? And then she started telling me more things about how she had a discussion with her friends, how she basically had felt that I had never felt for her.
Well, yeah,
seriously, anyway.
she was clearly right because you described your relationship with her as one of an acquaintance.
True.
An acquaintance is somebody, you know, you go in, you meet at a butcher. You say, hello, how are you? How's your family? That's an acquaintance. That's not a friend. Someone who is just an acquaintance isn't somebody that you worried that maybe the pregnancy test, the rabbit died. That's not an acquaintance.
It was a little more than an acquaintance.
Ah, okay.
Just a little more.
Let's get to the assault, sir.
Miss Moon had finally agreed to actually leave the apartment. And she basically, on my front porch, and she had basically let me know and indicated to me that she had left her glasses in my apartment. I said, well, here, just wait here. I'll go get your glasses. I said, I'm not going to do anything to your glasses. Miss Moon didn't want to hear that. She basically wanted to come into the apartment. And from then on, I had stopped her. And she had continuously brushed past me for the second time. Once she had brushed past me for the second time, it was the points to where I was basically holding her off with my forearm, like so. By doing that, she came past my elbow. This is the weaker part, whatever, and that's where she got to the points to where her head was down, and she had bit me right here on my chest and my shoulder area. Once she had done so, and she was not letting go, it was clear that she was not going to let go. I had needed to get her off somehow. So the best way I knew how at that point was to actually put my hand around her neck. I didn't necessarily choke her, but at this point I held her tight enough to where she actually let go. And once she actually let go, I threw her off of me, and she was basically on the front porch. Once she was on the front porch, she called me some obscenities, whatever, and basically had let me know, well, I'm pregnant anyway, so I hope, you take that, whatever. Stood there, watched her as she walked down the stairs, as while she's yelling and shouting, whatnot, obscenities. Watched her actually break my cologne bottles, which I have here, that she broke over my car. I have a picture of my car. And she basically was kind of like provoking me to come out there and kind of like do something about what she had actually done to my car.
Was she downstairs already when she threw the bottles at your car?
Yes, Your Honor.
How many bottles did she throw at your car?
2.
Okay, let me see the damage to the car.
It's not necessarily the best of pictures, Your Honor, but however, I can't point
They're
out.
all you got.
I also went to go get estimates of how much it would actually cost to get my car repaired. Here's are the estimates. And these are the bite marks for that night.
Okay, and according to your complaint, you went and were treated the next day at the hospital or an emergency
Yes, Your Honor. I was treated at Mount Carmel East in Columbus, Ohio. And these are my medical bills.
All right, Miss Moon, let's hear it.
Okay, he was supposed to come get me at 8 o'clock. The reason I wrote that letter is because he told me I will be there at 8 o'clock, and he didn't show up till midnight. So I wrote the letter because I was sick of it, you know what I mean? And we sat and we had a discussion at my place until we didn't leave until 1 o'clock. We got to his apartment. We started to watch the movie, but his VCR doesn't have any tracking, and we couldn't watch the movie. And I had to go to work the next day at 10 o'clock. He was supposed to take me, and I told him, I'm ready to go to bed. I just want to go to sleep. And he started asking me why, and I said, because I don't feel like it. So automatically I started that means I'm sleeping with somebody else. I became all these and everything else.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
I wasn't
Listen,
having
you know,
it.
did you see how quiet she was?
She was, I mean, if I can't sit there...
Did you see how quiet she was when you were testifying?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's how quiet I want you to be.
But I wasn't lying to her, though.
Just a second. What word that I said didn't you understand?
I understand clearly now, Your Honor.
With former friend Tia Moon, she assaulted him and vandalized his car. Tia says Brian tried to strangle her, so she bit him.
And so I asked him to take me home, and he refused. I asked him about 3 or 4 times, just take me home, please, just take me home. He wouldn't take me home. And I started to get my stuff. He started taking it and throwing it. And I did forget my glasses, and I went back to get it, and he grabbed me around here, and I bit him, and he started strangling me. He was grabbing my neck.
That's also a lie, Your Honor.
What word didn't you understand when I said, when she's testifying, unless I'm looking at you and asking you a question, don't speak?
Yes, Your Honor.
And so he was having me around my neck. He wasn't really...
Why did he put his hands on your neck?
I guess he didn't want me to go back into the apartment. He didn't...
Well, did he tell you not to go back into the apartment?
He said, hold on, and I was like, I'll get him, and he just grabbed me, and I was like, all right, you know, and then...
So he grabbed you?
Yeah.
And you bit him?
Yeah.
Hard?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
And I threw his cologne. When he was throwing my stuff out, I was like, all right, so I threw his stuff out. You know what I mean? I didn't care.
Now, he threw your stuff out after you had bitten him?
No, before. And so I didn't throw the cologne at his car. I just threw it, and it landed in the grass. And after he started strangling me, he threw me onto the porch, and I gathered my stuff up, and I was leaving. And he started saying something to me, and I had the cologne, another bottle, and I just tossed it, and it hit his car. And I kept on walking, and I was halfway down the street to go to the payphone to call my friend to come pick me up, and he gets in his car, and he drives, and he tries to get me to come in the car. But the whole time he was strangling me, he was telling me, you know, I could kill you right now. What do I look like getting in the car with somebody that just said they were going to try and kill me? So I told him, no, just leave me alone. I'll walk. I'll find another ride. And he continued to just follow me. He came behind me, and he grabbed my book bag with my work clothes in it, and he grabbed my jacket.
Stop playing with that paper.
I'm sorry. And he grabbed my glasses off my face, and I kept walking, and he did this for like an hour. All I wanted was for him to let me alone so I can call my friend and go home. He wouldn't leave me alone. He picked me up, and he threw me in his car, and I got out, and I kept running because I was scared. I was crying. I thought he was going to kill me. He told me he was going to kill me.
He didn't tell you he was going to kill you when
Yes.
he was... No, listen to me! He didn't say to you as he was following you to try to put you in the car to drive you home that he was going to kill you.
No, but when he was strangling me.
Right. You know, don't embellish this story. Do we understand each other? To make a long story short, you finally got in the car, he drove you home, and he dropped you off.
Yeah.
All right. There was at least some modicum of concern about your safety at that hour in the morning, walking around by yourself, because that's why he got in the car to take you home, even after you bit him and even after you damaged his car, right?
Yeah, I suppose.
Okay. Mr. Jenkins.
Yes, Ron.
You're a cad, but not a total louse. Here you have a situation where you have a young lady who is clearly more infatuated with you than you are with her. That's what you said, because you described her to me as an acquaintance. And clearly, she poured her heart out to you in this letter that you read before you took her back to your house. So someone who was a decent person would say to themselves, look, I really don't care about this lady the same way she cares about me. And I don't want to lead her on anymore, because clearly she's lonely, she's vulnerable, so I don't want to lead her on anymore, and I'm just going to end it. But you decided, well, as long as we both have nothing to do, we'll go back to my house. So you went back to your house, and with this acquaintance, you were going to have a sexual encounter, one that you had had before, something that a decent person doesn't do to somebody who's vulnerable. Better off just cutting it off and saying, look, it's not going to work out. I don't feel the same way that you do. So you're a cad, but you're not a total louse, because you didn't want her to walk home alone. It's in the middle of the night, so you, even after the attack on you and your car, I don't know what you found more devastating, the attack on you or your car. Usually guys find the attacks on their cars more devastating than the attacks on themselves. You did, in fact, get into your car and say, let me take you home. You got it?
I do understand, Your Honor.
You bit him. That's a no-no. I don't believe that you bit him in order to have him release his stronghold on you. I think that you got very angry that night, and I think you probably had reason, but you weren't acting like a smart lady. If you sense from somebody that they're really not interested in you, what you're supposed to do is cut your losses and move on. Cut your losses, move on, find somebody else that wants to be as good to you as you want to be to them. Do you understand?
Yes.
Fine.
Can I also have something else, Your Honor?
I would love to hear something else. Make sure I'm going to like it.
Okay.
Because so far you're winning.
I basically did want to say that I do have a permanent mark here because of the actual bite wound.
Maybe it'll teach you to be more careful with somebody's feelings. Mr. Jenkins. You got it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Car is $763 to fix. Your emergency room was $446. So your total bills were $1,209. However, I do believe that you have to be compensated for the pain and suffering. A bite mark is dangerous. And I am awarding you $2,000 on your judgment, which is some $800 more than the actual damages that you sustained. Have you both moved on with your lives, I assume?
Yes, Your Honor.
Perfect. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I was actually pretty upfront and honest. That's the type of person that I am.
I'm only 19. I got other things to do with my life.
If you see a female get more like out of line, whatever, just go ahead and handle the situation.
I'm just happy that it's over.
Waitress Tamara Bufano is suing her former friend, 20-year-old waitress Chanel Kowalski, for the cost to get her car out of impound. Chanel says Tamara owes her for a set of rims.
Ms. Bufano, you loaned your car to the defendant, who
Correct.
was, according to your complaint, related to your ex-boyfriend?
She was just close friends with my ex.
A close friend of your ex-boyfriend?
Yes.
She acknowledges that if anything happened to your car, she would take care of it, right?
Yes.
She drove the car broke down, she left it on the road, the car got towed, cost you money to get it out of impound, you want your impound fees.
Correct.
She says she paid you some towards the impound fees, some money towards the impound fees, which you acknowledge that she gave you some money towards the impound fees, but then decided she didn't have to give you any more, right? Tell me why.
Because about 1.5 years ago, me and my ex-husband gave her these rims to put on for tires, and she put them on her car, borrowing them, and she crashed her car 4 days later. The rims were $2,000. She told me that she told me and my ex-husband she was going to pay us back. She gave us $20 a week for maybe 3 weeks and never paid me back again. So when this happened with her car, I kind of was put in the same position, and she still owes me over $1,900 for that.
You don't have a counterclaim?
It happened over 1 year ago. They wouldn't let me, they said.
Well, so 1 year ago it's passed.
Right.
Oh, this is a very easy case.
I pretty much dropped it because she was my friend. That's why when this happened, I kind of said, you know, you did the same thing, so.
Duh. You have no counterclaim, so I can't entertain your set. What you want to do is do a set-off. Be a grown-up. How much did you give her towards the impound fees?
I believe $70 to $80.
Okay, how much were the impound fees?
$191.
How much did she give you?
Nowhere near $70 to $80. It was $20. 4 payments of $5 each.
The impound fees were $191, and she gave you 4 payments of $5 each. Even my rudimentary math, that comes up to $171. Would that be a fair statement?
Fair statement.
Why are you suing her for $191?
Well, because we ended up making an agreement after lots of fighting and arguing that she would pay me half of the impound fee by October 1st. Otherwise, I was going to file small claims. Well, she said there should be no reason why she wouldn't do it. Every time I asked for money, she didn't have it. She said, I have other things to do, but she was always partying and going out. So
I'm asking you, what'd you add on the other $20 for?
She owed me $20 from another situation.
I'm not hearing another situation. I don't have another situation here. So what she owes you, according to you, is $171.
Yes.
By the way, did she ever say to you at any point, you owe me money for the rims and that's why I'm not going to pay you?
No, she didn't say that exactly to me. She said something about that she doesn't think it's fair that I didn't pay her for the rims. But she didn't say, you know, I'm not paying you because of the rims.
Okay, and the rims were her ex-husband's rims.
Right, and they were $500, not $2,000. They said I would have to pay $500.
Just a second, but they were her ex-husband's rims.
Right.
They were bought with our wedding money. They were bought with our wedding money.
All right.
That was.
You owe her $171. Judgment for the plaintiff. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The tire fell off. I was driving down the road and it fell off. She had free towing and she knew she did.
She was acting very irresponsibly.
She still owed me the money, so it should have just been dropped and considered even.
I'm really glad that everything turned out and I got to get my money.
Bill Hubbard is suing his father, 47-year-old electrician Ray Hubbard, for stealing money from his bank account. Ray says he was entitled to it.
Order. All rise. Yes, this is case number 477 on the calendar in the matter of Hubbard versus Hubbard. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
You're Michael.
Yes.
Michael, the defendant is your father, and according to your complaint, when you were 16 or 17, you had a job.
Yes.
Or 2 jobs.
2, yes.
And you and your dad opened a bank account and deposited your money in the account. The money was all your money. You needed his signature on the account because you were a minor.
Yes.
And then there was some sort of a dispute involving your father and your mother, and they're divorced?
Separated.
And your father withdrew all the money from your account.
All of it but $2.51.
And how much money did you have in the account?
Before he withdrew it, I had $1,527.51.
Why did you withdraw your son's money?
$775 I drew out for room and board when he stayed with me for 2 months.
All right, so let's start with the $775 that you withdrew for room and board.
Yes.
When did he live with you?
From June 20th until August 20th.
And how old was your son in June of 2001?
17.
When did he turn 18?
December 11th.
You can't charge him for room and board. You're his father. You're responsible for him.
Ma'am, he was living with his mother at the time, and he came to, with her agreement, came to live with me so he could work.
Mm-hmm.
Before June, I was paying child support.
Mm-hmm.
And when he came to live with me, I just figured that I was entitled to the child support back.
You figured wrong. You may be entitled to child support back, but not from him.
When this all started out, I acknowledged to him that I was going to do this, and he had
I don't care what you acknowledge to him. And even if he agreed that he'd pay you room and board, even if he agreed, which he didn't, you can't hold a minor to a contract. I mean, I never heard of something so ridiculous in my life. Your son worked, he put money in the bank, he was saving for, I don't know, college, future, whatever. You decided later to withdraw money because you figured he owed you for room and board. Outrageous! What's next? What's next? $775.
Yes.
Room and board. What else did you take out?
Me and his mother had a dispute on child support that I owed. We went to court about that. And, you know, in order to get a lawyer, I told him I was going to take some money out to pay for the lawyer. That was because of another situation that was going on.
What?
His grades in school that I was trying to get custody back for him.
Yes.
To make him do better in school.
So?
And I had to get a lawyer in order to do that.
So? You wanted him to pay for the lawyer so that you could get custody of him?
No, I did not want him to pay for the lawyer.
Well, but he did. That's what you just told me. You took money out of his account so that you could pay for a lawyer to get custody of him. Isn't that what you just told me?
Yes, I did.
Well, am I correct? I mean, when you cut through all the baloney, that's what it was.
But I told him I was going to do this in order to file for custody for him.
Well,
and when I told him that, he had no problem with it.
What do you mean he had no problem with it?
He didn't disagree or agree.
Mr. Hubbard, what do you do for a living?
I'm an electrician, ma'am.
Well, let me give you the facts of life, Mr. Hubbard. The facts of life are parents support their children and provide for necessaries for their children until their children reach the age of majority. Then, if they're really lucky, the children will take care of themselves. Only if they're really lucky. Most parents take care of their children even after they've reached their majority. They pay for college, they pay for books, they pay for clothes, they pay for trips, they pay for medical, they pay for dental, they pay for orthodontia, they pay for cars, they pay for gas, they pay for dating. When they're 19 and 20 and 21 and 22, and sometimes even until they're 30. You, on the other hand, want your child to pay for himself, for his room and board, as well as for a lawyer for you. Hello? Michael, your father is misguided. You're entitled to your money back, Michael. Now, I assume at this point you and your father aren't getting along too well.
No.
And I assume that it will take some time for that to work itself out, if it ever does. Maybe he understands that he did the wrong thing. Maybe.
May I say something else, you may?
Yeah, sure.
I got custody of him on December 14th, '99. His grades were falling bad. When I finally got custody of him, I made him do his homework, and his grades came up. And then his mother 9 months later, filed for custody back of him because I was being too hard on him. I was making him do his homework. I was making him tell me where he was all this time, anytime he was out. Well, that's too hard on him as far as she's concerned. So she got custody back of him, and I have his report cards here showing that when he was with me, he was doing better, and now that he's with her, he's completely...
Father, Ray Hubbard, stole money from his bank account. Ray says he needed the money.
Your job as a parent is to do what is best for your child, to look into...
That's what I was trying to do. I had his interest in heart all the time.
Fine. Let us say I absolutely agree that you felt as if he needed a stronger hand in order to do his work so that he could do well in school, so that he could move on. You felt as if you had to, as a parent, fight for custody so that he would do better. Is that fair? Is that a fair statement, sir?
No, sir. No, ma'am, that's not what I was doing.
I thought that's what you were doing.
Well, I am, but as far as his mother is concerned, she won't let him grow up.
It doesn't make any difference. Well, you're not listening to me, sir. I said you felt as if you had to do what you did in pursuing custody of him because you felt as if it was in his best interest.
Yes, I still do.
And you still do?
Yes.
Good. He doesn't pay for that. You pay for that. That's a necessary, not for him. That's a legal necessary for you. You, as a parent, are supposed to do the right thing. You felt in your heart the right thing was that he lived with you. You would be a better parent for him at this stage in his life. Good for you. You pay for it.
I understand that.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,527.51. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
A parent should be more responsible.
It was in the best interest of the child.
A minor shouldn't have to pay for room and board.
I'm going to keep fighting it.
Is suing his girlfriend's former friend, 42-year-old secretary Elizabeth Clark, for having him falsely arrested. Elizabeth says William threatened to kill her. She is countersuing for harassment.
Mr. Bell, you are suing the defendant for having you falsely arrested on charges of threatening and harassing her. She is counterclaiming for harassment. Let me understand the relationship. You have a girlfriend or had a girlfriend. The defendant is a friend of your former girlfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
You were having some difficulty with the girlfriend. You called the defendant to sort of act as an intermediary and to talk to her and see if you could put things back together again. The defendant then called the police and said that you had threatened her. You were arrested.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When did you call her?
February 17th of 2001.
Had you ever called her before?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And tell me about the conversation that you had with her.
I didn't have a conversation with her. I got her voicemail.
Okay.
And I left a message, who it was, and I was staying at Baymont Inn Motel. Could you please give me a call?
Why were you staying at a motel?
I had moved out of my girlfriend's house.
So you and your girlfriend had lived together and
Yes,
had
we're
a problem?
together now. Yes.
You are back together
Yes,
now?
we've been together, yes.
So you went out and stayed at a motel?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you left a voice message, and I assume she called you back.
She called me back, ma'am, approximately 4:30, 5 o'clock that evening.
What was the conversation?
Her first question was, when I answered the phone, is this Bill Bell? And I said, yes. She says, William Bell. And I said, yes, it is. Then she started getting very belligerent.
Don't tell me belligerent. That's a conclusion, Mr. Bell. Okay. Tell me what she said to you.
She was cursing at me for calling
Tell
her.
me what she said. I'm a big girl. I'm over 21. I know that's hard to believe, but I am.
You want...
I want the words she said to you, that you claim she said to you.
She called me I don't want to say it on the mother. A son of that I was going to get her fired from her job for calling her work.
When did you call her work?
I found out later that the number I called, which was her home phone number, is a work number at her home.
Okay, so first she cursed you, you say, because you called her at her work number. And then what did she say to you?
She told me that she was going to get even with me for calling her. And I apologized for calling and leaving a message on her phone.
Well, what message did you leave on her phone?
Just my name and the phone number where I was at.
Okay.
And I told her I was going to hang up. And she says, if you hang up, you're going to pay for it big time. And I went ahead and hung up anyway, because I'd already apologized and she was still cursing me.
And when were you arrested, sir?
A while later, that they had a warrant out for my arrest. And I talked to the police officer who had called the motel to get a hold of me and left a message.
No, look at me. Stop playing with your papers.
I called the officer back, and he told me there was a warrant, and I went down. I believe it was in April. I went down, and I turned myself in. Because I
didn't find out about this warrant until April?
No, ma'am.
What happened to the charges?
Well, the charges were dropped the 2nd of October because the defendant never showed up for court.
Okay. And do you have a copy of the complaint?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see that. And, Ms. Clark, I would like to see a copy of the police report that you made at the same time.
Okay. And he called me more than one time.
Wait. I'm going to get to you, I promise you. When did you advise the police of these phone calls, Ms.
It
Clark?
was probably the middle of February.
Okay, just 1 second.
Okay.
So you did not call the police the day that he made the phone calls, the day that you had
Yes,
the
I did.
conversation? Oh,
Yes,
you
I
did?
did.
So
I
you
did.
called the police the same day. All right.
Yes.
Now, Ms. Clark, I would like you to tell me, he left a message on your voicemail to call him. The message that he left on your voicemail was not threatening to you.
No, it's when I talked to him.
So I am correct. It was not threatening to you, and you knew who he was because...
This is the first time I've ever seen this man.
But you knew who he was because of your girlfriend.
Right.
That's what, just pay attention.
Okay, sorry.
Now, I want you to tell me your version of the conversation.
Okay, I work 2 jobs. I also work at a golf course.
Is this relevant to my question?
Yes, it is. He went in to my employer, who I have a letter from, was asking for my address and my phone number. Since then, I don't even know this man. He's taken me to court and put...
I want you, Ms. Clark, to answer my question.
Okay.
My question is, I want you to tell me what the phone conversation was when you returned his phone call.
He wanted me to get his girlfriend...
Tell me what he said.
He wanted to know if I would call Lou and get them back together, reconcile their differences.
And what did you say to him?
No.
Did you tell him why?
Mm-hmm.
What did you say? Tell me what you said.
I said, because I think that what you did was wrong, and I think she's better off without you.
And what did he say in response?
And then he got aggravated.
That's a conclusion.
Okay.
What did he say?
He said, well, that doesn't help me out a bit. And I really don't recall the rest of the conversation. It was a long time ago.
Well, you have to tell me the rest of the conversation. That's the basis of the...
Just more or less said that he wanted me to call Lou, and he said, you're the only one she'll listen to, and you need to get this situation taken care of for me or else.
At that point, did you hang up on him?
I don't recall.
Or did you have any further conversation?
He called so many times on my caller ID, it was...
Okay. Now, did you ever speak to him after that?
No.
You never spoke to him after that?
Nope.
And the conversation that you just relayed to me is, to the best of your recollection, the sum and substance of the conversation?
Yes, ma'am.
Then, Ms. Clark, I'm going to ask you the following questions.
Okay.
It is clear to me that you said, I'm not going to help you. He said, that doesn't help me any. You better help me or else. Those were pretty much his exact words, as you remember?
Yeah.
Then can you tell me why you told the police that he said to you, I will get you, I will kill you. Just a second.
I'm sorry.
I will get you, I will kill you, and then I will kill myself.
That is true.
Well, Ms. Clark, I asked you 3 times.
I know, I'm sorry.
3 times what he said to you. Now, you got the police's attention, certainly, when you told the police, he said, I'll get you, and then I'll kill myself, and I'll kill Lou, and I'll kill everybody. It seems to me that that would be the first thing that you would say. Not forget it, but that would be the first thing. I will kill you is something that you remember, not I'll get even or you'll get yours, or I will kill you is something that sticks in your mind. In order to get to the police's attention, they say, well, you know, that's really not a threat. You know, you'll get yours is not a threat. I'll kill you is a threat that the police pay attention to.
I will get you.
I will get you is one thing. But I seriously doubt, based upon our testimony today, that he said to you, I will get you, which you didn't tell me. I will kill you. I will kill Lou, and then I will kill myself. Kill. That you remember, and that the police might respond to, but not, you'll get yours. Okay, now let's go back a second. You started to tell me that he's taken you to court 3 times.
Yes, yes.
Now, I want you to tell me about the 3 occasions when he's taken you to court.
Okay, he has put 2 restraining orders against me. The first time that I went to court is when I press the charges against him, he didn't show up. So
When
that's
was the
3
first
times.
time that he pressed charges against you?
April.
April.
And then after he hadn't shown up for twice for court, it was dismissed with prejudice on August 16th.
So in April, he filed a charge against you for something. For what, Mr. Bell? For what?
After this deal
After
in
the
February,
warrant.
I had all the telephone calls we were getting and hang-ups. We were getting calls 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning.
Did you know where they were coming from?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you know where they were coming from?
Caller ID showed York Equipment.
Boy, you know, you think this caller ID was a wonderful invention, and it turns out it's used for all kinds of different things. All right, so he filed 2 restraining orders against you. You want to know something? It sounds like a little bit of an abusive process, but Ms. Clark, based upon what you did and having him arrested, I think that he was exercising probably restraint. I don't believe that there was any basis for you to have him arrested. I don't believe that he threatened to kill you. I believe that you got the police's attention. That's what I believe. Based on your testimony today, he never threatened to kill you. Never. All right. Miss Clark's statement to the police was designed to get their attention.
Because it was said.
No, it was not said, Miss Clark, because on 3 separate occasions, giving you every opportunity today to recount what he said to you, the most important thing would be to any normal person was he threatened to kill me by saying, I will kill you. I will kill Lou. Then I'll kill myself. Time and time again, all you said was, the last time around, you'll get yours, or I'll get you, or something like that. You left out, I'll get you.
That's after 10 or 11 calls, though, Your Honor.
Just a second. You never spoke to him again, madam. You spoke to him once, and then you said you did not take the other calls because you saw his caller ID.
He left messages.
He left messages. Let me hear them.
I don't have them.
Well, it also seems to me, Miss Clark, that if someone threatened you with bodily harm to an extent that you called the police, and then if you were listening to messages, you would retain them, bring the tape.
I don't have
so
the
that
tape.
there would be no, you would get a tape so the police could listen to them and then pursue this matter, because then you're dealing with a real nut. He's suing you for $5,000, which he is absolutely entitled to, and I am granting his judgment for $5,000 against you, and I'm dismissing your counterclaim. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues.
I'm really glad it's over with.
I'm glad it's all over, and he'll leave me alone now.
If you got a problem, take it to court.
I want to be done with him. I don't even know.
20-year-old student Mari Bailey is suing her ex-boyfriend, 20-year-old civil engineer Hassan Smith, for a series of unpaid loans. Hassan says Mari is exaggerating.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 467 on the calendar in the matter of Bailey versus Smith. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Bailey, the defendant was a former friend, boyfriend of yours. You claim a series of loans to him. He says whatever money that you gave him were gifts, correct?
Yes,
Who is this?
my girlfriend.
Why is she here?
Because she spoke to Maury after the incident happened, and she explained to her what happened.
I don't know what incident you're talking about. You'll tell me, I'm sure. Ms. Bailey, did you date him for a period of time?
Yes, I dated him for a period of about 8 months during my senior year of high school.
And how long ago was that?
That was everything ended around August of 2000.
And how old were you?
At the time we broke up, I was 18.
Where'd you get this money from?
I had an inheritance from an aunt. She had died when I was 13, and she had left me this money so I could go to college. And I decided to go to a Hunter college, so I had a little left over.
And you were able to take the money out yourself?
Yes, it was left to me, and when I turned 18, it was turned over to me.
Okay. The first loan was in August?
Yes.
For what?
It was $2,000 because he said he wanted a new car. His car had been crashed quite a few times, and they couldn't fix it, or it was too much money to fix it, whatever, he wanted a new car. And so I lent it to him, and I explicitly said it's a loan, and I will need this money back.
Did he say when he would pay you back?
He never really said anything. He just said, you get it by next year, when I could get money back, whatever. You'll get it by next year.
Whatever is not a contract. Did she give you $2,000?
No.
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 Show me proof that you gave him $2,000.
I have bank receipts from that month. There was actually a lot of transactions. What he would do is he would call me,
and he would wake me up in the morning and take me to the ATM before the banks could open, so I would have to go to the ATM. Because the ATM could only take out $800 at a time, I would have to go to 3 different ATMs on a day. And because there was only a certain amount of money that I could take out on a certain day, I had to go to 2 days. So my bank receipts reflect that.
Does that sound more familiar, Mr. Smith?
No, it doesn't.
Doesn't. So you never got this money.
I got a portion of the money, which
How much is a
$700 my car cost. My
How
car
much?
actually cost $750, which I did receive from Maury, and which I told her I was going to pay her back, which I did not pay her back at the time.
Why?
But, we broke up before she got it, and I wasn't, able to get in contact often. I work, engineering and training, so I could not have waking up in the morning and going to see her because I have to be at work at 7 o'clock in the morning. I got out of work at 3:30, and she was.
Excuse me. I don't care about your work. You borrowed this money from her.
Not $2,000 though.
No, $750.
Yes, yes.
Okay, $750.
I do say I do owe that. I do owe that money. But
Excuse me, Judge. There was also about $1,400. He couldn't afford his insurance, so I paid 2 months of his insurance.
Let me take care of this.
Okay.
Okay. But in your answer, sir, you don't say that you owe her the money. In your answer, you say, I needed a car, and she offered to help me buy a car.
Yes.
She offered to give me the money.
She offered, but I owe that money because she gave me that money.
Oh, well, you didn't say that here. You didn't agree that you owed her that money. All right, $750. What else?
There was also his insurance was about $711 a month on 2 months. One was September of 2000 and the other one was October of 2000. He could not afford to pay his insurance, so I paid 2 months of insurance, and the total came out to about $1,400. Each check was $711.79, and I have the checks here.
Which were not cash because I did not have any checks to cash. I didn't have a bank account to cash. You cannot cash a personal check at a check cashing. You must cash
excuse
a
me, but
personal
it was
check
written
in
out
a
to
bank.
the place, so
But I did not
that's
use
why
a check.
what happened is they did an electronic check or something. I handed him the original check that I wrote out, and that's the check that was sent to my bank. So the check was cashed, and he got it.
My insurance was canceled October of 2000. So I'm not understanding how she says that I have paid money for my insurance to be written out and paid for by the insurance company.
Did you ever have a conversation with her about your car insurance?
Yes.
Of course you did, because if you say your car insurance was canceled, then you must have had a discussion with her. She was your girlfriend about, I don't have money for car insurance.
No,
I have 2 checks made payable for $711.79. They're bank checks.
Yes.
What was that for, sir?
That wasn't to me. At the time when she wrote it out...
Just a second. That went to you.
Yes, but I did not cash it. When she wrote it out to me, she was still there. I told her I couldn't cash the check. I didn't want the check.
You
she
can't
took it
cash
back
the
to her.
check.
I couldn't. So I gave it back to her, and then it was over. I couldn't cash the check because I didn't have a bank account at the time. I could not have, no way of cashing the check. It was to my insurance company.
It was paid.
But they even know. They would have mailed me a copy of the check.
It was paid, both of these checks.
I paid, my insurance company was canceled, and I had another insurance company with my mother's name.
These were paid, sir. Capital payment plan.
Okay, yes.
What else?
I have a tape here. He knew it was a loan. He always knew it was a loan every time. When I gave him those checks, I said, when am I getting back my money? Every time we had a conversation, it would be about am I getting back my money?
What I want to know is what the girlfriend is doing here.
The girlfriend, what happened is, he found out I was suing him. He calls me. I told him, I will see you in court. I will not talk about this over the phone. And his girlfriend calls me. And that's what happened.
Stand up here. What did you call her for?
I called her to speak to her about what. I just wanted to know why she was suing him.
For money.
Exactly. No, I wanted to know the reason why, like how it went about, like the
what
situation.
What is it your business?
Because he's my boyfriend. That's the reason why I wanted to know.
Why?
I just wanted to know why she was suing him. He told me he didn't owe her any money. That's why I wanted to know.
He told me he didn't owe her any money to start with.
Exactly, and that's why I called her to find out. And she told me that she paid for his car. She told me the same exact thing, and she actually told me that after she broke up with him, that's when she had gave him $700 to pay for his car. And she told me that she spent a lot of money on him. She bought him a lot of gifts and all of this.
Gifts is not what we're talking about.
Well, she said she spent a lot of money on him.
Sure she did. She, 18-year-old, got her hands on some money, and that's the problem. But this money was for his car and his car insurance.
But $3,000 doesn't add up at all.
No,
so
$2,150 is what it adds up to.
Well, actually, there's a lot more money. I did loan him the $2,000. He's saying it's $700 right now.
If next time you loan somebody money, Miss Bailey, and if you think there's going to be a dispute as to the amount, get a note. What else?
There's a taper. He was fully aware there was a loan. He called my machine.
Let me see.
Bailey says ex-boyfriend Hassan Smith owes for several unpaid loans. and she has an audio tape to prove it.
Go ahead.
5/1/1:06 p.m., January 23rd.
Crazy, I don't know what you're doing, but for coming back this long for 3 years later and sue me for $3,000, I don't know what the hell to sue me for. I don't know sue you for that you put me through, but I didn't expect your mother's house and me helping you. So you living off of me. So therefore, I should kind of sue you. But we'll see about this in court because ain't no way you're going to win it. Whatever thing that you got, I mean, it says to me.
I wish I understood a word you were saying.
I was saying that she was suing me for $50,000 3 years later, which was way too weird because when she did call me and want the money, I told her I would give her the money, no problem. But it came so sudden for her to come to court and say I owe her $3,000. It hit me with such shock that saying $3,000 that I owe. It was shocked that $3,000 out of $700 from $3,000, it was pretty weird.
Insurance. You forgot about the insurance, Mr. Smith. You forgot about the insurance. You mean you were shocked that 3 years later she came to you and said, I want my money?
Yes, but she could have maybe signed a contract, and I would glad to sign a contract for the money I owe her, but she didn't.
Yeah,
and
Judge, please. Go ahead. I'm listening to you.
Okay, and bank statements saying that she wrote checks out to me. If it wasn't my insurance company, I would like to have a receipt from my insurance company saying it was paid in full. You know, all they always mail it.
How is she going to get that?
Because the check is run out from her address, so they mail a copy of what was paid, a receipt, and the mail with that. Always, I have a check account too. They always do that.
They mail it to the person who wrote the check rather than to the insured. It says your insurance is now paid. We want to let you know that
the check wasn't mailed out to me, why would they mail it back to me?
Because maybe she didn't trust you. And you told me you didn't have a checking account.
At the time.
So, well, I don't care what you have now. Now is not important, Mr. Smith. Do you think you're smarter than I am?
No, I'm not.
You're done right. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,150. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
We had a baby together which died, and I broke up with her so suddenly, and she hated me for that.
I don't know why he's bringing up the past history. It was not brought up in the case. I don't know why he's trying to bring it up, trying to make it look bad or whatever, but it has nothing to do with it.
I don't hate her for it.
I don't want to have any contact with the defendant or anything, and I'm just so happy to have him out my life for good.
Things like this happen all the time with people who are mad because they got left by somebody who doesn't want them anymore.
I don't want him. I am happily engaged. I have a new life.
I guess money makes the world go around. That's one thing that can make you happy if you can't have that person that you want.
I don't even think about him except the money that he owed me.
Don't get in a relationship when it involves money.
If he wants to think that I still want him, let him. If that makes him sleep better at night, whatever.
Old store manager Yvette Lechuga is suing her ex-boyfriend, 22-year-old construction worker James Kavanaugh, for the unpaid balance on a car he totaled.
Miss Lechuga, the defendant was a former boyfriend of yours, and in addition to just being a boyfriend, you had a car that was titled in both of your names. He paid for the insurance on the car, but it was your car. And there was a car loan on the car, is that right?
Right.
He got into an accident and totaled the car. So far, is that right?
Yes.
The insurance company totaled the car and gave you a check, but the check did not cover the car loan, and there is still about $1,800 left that you owe the loan company on the car. Is that what the case is about?
Yes.
Mr. Kavanaugh, when were you in this accident, sir?
It was May 28th, 2001.
Tell me about the accident.
Well, we were coming back from the airport. And
Stop playing with papers. Look at me.
Okay. We were coming back from the airport from St. Louis.
Who's we? The two of you?
The two of us, yes. She was in the passenger seat. We were going through an intersection, and the light was green. She swore the light was green at one time. Went through the intersection in another car. We collided. No witnesses stopped on our behalf. The other car had a witness stop, said they had a green light, so I was at fault for the accident because I had no witnesses. She was in the car.
Maybe you were just at fault in the accident because you were at fault.
No, the light was green. I'm sorry, if the light was green, I'm going through it.
Did you hit them or did they hit you?
We hit each other.
How is that?
Because the two corners hit together. I mean, I didn't see them. They just went right through the light, and we collided. I never saw the car coming through the intersection because I was halfway through the intersection before, we even hit.
So the insurance company found that you were at fault. Is that right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, the highway patrol put me at fault. Now, I guess the insurance goes by that, or if they go by their own. I don't know.
Whatever. Those people who were responsible for finding who was at fault found you at fault?
Yes.
Okay. And when had you purchased this car?
We had purchased it in last September.
When you say we purchased it, you purchased it together?
He was the primary person on the car, and I was the co-signer, but it was supposed to be the other way around, and they messed it up.
I don't care what is it now? Who owes the $1,800?
Right now, I'm the primary person.
Why is that?
Because we switched the names back.
When?
Back in June.
After the accident?
Yes.
Why?
Because I was the one making the payments on it and I wanted to have credit for it.
At the time that this accident occurred, that he caused, he was the primary on the car.
Right.
And on the loan. Is that right?
Correct.
Who was making payments prior to May 28th?
I was.
Why were you making the payments?
Because it was my car.
Well, then why was he ever the primary?
Because the loan people were stupid and messed it up. They put my name wrong. They put the paperwork wrong. When I signed the papers, I asked them, this puts me as co-signer, because I've never signed for a car before, co-signed or nothing. So I believed the people we bought the car from. I said, so I'm on as co-signer. They said yes. So we signed the papers. Come to find out later on, they put me as primary and her as co-signer. So when we found that out, since she was making the payments, it was her car, we switched the names.
You mean the payments for a car that no longer existed?
What's that?
In June, after the accident, the car no longer existed.
Yeah.
Is that right?
That's right.
How much did they give you for this car?
About $7,000.
$7,311.
And how much was owing on the car?
That much. I don't have the exact amount on that because...
How come you have a lot of paperwork?
I have all the paperwork I need for my case. I mean, I don't have the exact amount left on the car. They wouldn't
Let
give
me
me
see the information that you have, madam. I want to see the loan that was taken out, how much the payout was, all that good stuff.
I have a copy of the title right here. It has the price on it. I did have that.
How many cars did you have when you were living together?
I had mine and had hers.
When did the two of you part ways?
In July.
Why?
He broke up with me because he was seeing somebody else.
I see the last payment that you made to Ford Credit was $100.85. Is that right?
Right.
Your Honor, what month was that? Because I've had to cover 1 month of that because she quit paying on it and didn't tell me. So they called me 2 days before they were going to send it to collections agency and informed me that she was 3 months behind.
I did tell you.
So you made the payment?
Yes, I had to make the payment.
Good. It was your accident. Now.
She was right there in the passenger side, Your Honor. She could have very well been driving. She gave me permission to drive the car, so, you know, my insurance paid out all that on it. I mean, if I was to let her...
Is this your defense? Now
if I was to let her go drive my truck and she was to wreck it, it would be my responsibility to pay for it, not hers. I mean, isn't that right? Because it is my truck and my insurance. I mean, unless I'm wrong, I don't know.
So that's your defense?
My defense is I've paid out more on this car than I think I should have anyway. I mean, yeah, my insurance covered my wreck, my part of the wreck, but I paid for her insurance the whole time she had that car, so...
Where were you coming or going from that you were coming from the airport?
We were coming from St. Louis because she had gone to Texas.
Yes.
Vacation to see her mom.
Okay, so when you went to pick her up at the airport, you took her car.
Yes.
How come you didn't take your truck?
Because her car had more room and we could put her stuff in the trunk. I had permission to take her car.
No, I didn't ask for permission. I just said, how come you didn't take your truck?
Because her car has more room. I have an S10.
More room than a truck?
I have an S10. The cab is a lot smaller than the front seats of a car. It's just more comfortable in a car.
Okay.
Because it's
now,
a 2.5 hour drive.
when you went out for dinner, which car did you take?
What's that?
What word didn't you understand, sir? When the two of you were together,
I'm speaking. You interrupted me.
When you went out for dinner, when you were living together, whose car did you take?
Either or.
Most of the time, which car did you take?
There wasn't most of the time. I mean, I guess most of the time we took my truck.
You did?
I guess, yes.
I doubt it. I doubt it. You want to know why? Women don't ride in a truck if they have a car. By choice. If they have no choice, they'll ride in a truck. But if they have a choice, they'll ride in a sedan. That's common sense, isn't it, Bert?
I'm not a woman, but yeah.
But you know women.
My wife prefers a car.
Right. Now, what kind of work do you do?
I work construction.
So you use your truck for your business, but going out on a Saturday night, you take the car.
Not true.
Not
but,
true.
Okay.
Of course it's true. Sir, bottom line is, Mr. Kavanaugh, you not only were driving this car with or without her permission, of course it was with her permission that you were driving the car, but you were also primarily responsible on the loan at the time of the accident. I don't care who messed up. You bought this car in September of 2000. If you're old enough to have a car and a truck and a job, then you're old enough to look at paperwork and see whether it's wrong, and you don't switch it after the accident. So at the time of the accident, you were A, at fault, B, primary on the loan.
As co-signers should have been.
No.
Okay, both of our names are right here On this title, both of our names are under owner.
Right.
It doesn't say who's co-signer, who's not. When I saw that, and when I asked them who is the co-signer, they said me. Now,
But it turns out that it
that
wasn't.
doesn't seem to be very clear to me.
It turns out, I'm not here to go over their contracts. As it turns out, you were primary. Right?
Unknowingly, yes.
Not my fault. You certainly knowingly one thing. You knowingly were involved in an accident which the police attributed to you as the one at fault. So you owe the remainder on this bill. Why should she be saddled with it? Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,798.69. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I don't think it was right. I mean, I've paid out more than enough on this. I don't think I should pay off anymore.
I'm just glad this is all over with and I don't have to deal with him anymore.
My insurance covered more than what the car was worth anyway.
He was responsible.
We've been arguing about it ever since the wreck.
It's been an ongoing thing.
Don't co-sign on anybody.
She's better boyfriend.
20-year-old receptionist Crystal Jeffers is suing her ex-boyfriend, 19-year-old construction worker Derek Barnett. Crystal claims Derek crashed his truck and made her say she was driving. Derek is countersuing, claiming Crystal broke into his home and damaged his property.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 502 on the calendar in the matter of Jeffers versus Barnett. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Miss Jeffers, some 2 years ago, the defendant, who was your boyfriend at the time?
Yes.
The two of you and a third person were driving in a car. Was it your car?
No.
It was his car?
Yes.
And there was an accident. It is your claim that the defendant was actually driving that day, but for some reason he asked you to tell the police that you were driving.
Right.
And initially you did that. You lied for him. Very next day, you say you reported to the police that you had lied and sort of straightened things out. Sometime later, you got sued by the lady whose car was hit by the car that you were in. The defendant, according to you, promised that he would pay the damage. You say he did pay for a while and then stopped. The defendant says that, no, you were actually driving the car and that he did give you some money.
Yes, ma'am.
But it was only because he was being a good guy and he was your boyfriend. And he has a counterclaim because he says that you broke into his house and stole some of his property and trashed the house.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So tell me, when was this accident?
On February 13th, 2000.
Was it a car or a truck?
Truck.
And was it 2 passengers in the front or 3?
3.
The 2 of you and who else?
His cousin Nathan.
Who certainly wants to be heard, right, Nathan?
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm?
Yes, ma'am.
You sure about that?
Nervous? Yeah.
Good. Where were you going?
I think we were going to look at some apartments in Edmond.
And it was his truck.
Mm-hmm.
Why would she be driving your truck?
I wasn't feeling right that day.
Tell me about it.
Ill.
What was wrong with you?
I was nauseous to my stomach.
If you were nauseous, how come you were going to look at apartments?
Because we had to find another place to live.
You were
very
being
soon.
what?
We're being evicted from where we were
That
at.
sounds like a good word, after we were being. So you took your nauseous self and you put yourself in the passenger seat. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
No.
Tell me what happened.
We left the house. I was sitting in the middle. He was driving, and his cousin was passenger. We drove up to Edmond, and we turned west. We were going under a railroad crossing, and he rear-ended a lady. He jumped out because he had had a DUI.
How did he jump out?
As soon as we hit the lady, he just jumped out of the truck to go and check on her, and he just looked over at me and said, "You were driving." And I said, "Oh, okay."
When did he have a DUI?
I think it was November.
Did you have a DUI in November?
Yes, ma'am.
What happened with that case?
It was dismissed.
When?
Maybe a month afterwards.
So it was still pending at the time that the truck was in this accident?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
When the police came, I told them that I was driving. When we went home that day, I went to my grandma's and told her what I did. She said, "Well, you're going to have to make this right. You'll just have to go to the police department and tell them you were lying."
And did you do that?
Yes.
Do you have any proof that you did that?
Yes. I
Can I
have
see
a
it,
false
please?
information report. A year later, I was served by the lady he hit. I told her I wasn't driving, told her I had a false information report, and I talked to her lawyer, and I told him, and he said, "Well, that didn't matter." And so He was going to go to court with me and tell them that he was really driving, and then at last minute he changed his mind and said...
Well, tell me about that. Tell me about the conversation that you had with him. Did you tell him that you filed this report that you had
Yes.
lied to the police?
Yeah.
When did you tell him that?
I told him the same day.
What did he say to you?
He said, I can't believe you did that. Your family's trying to throw me in jail, and he was just really mad about it.
What did he say to you when the woman contacted you a year later?
He agreed to go and tell them the truth. And then at last minute he decided he wasn't going to. He said he would just pay it off in payments to the attorney's office.
And what were the payments?
$150 a month.
What was the entire payment?
$3,344.87.
And at that time, was his DUI still pending?
I don't know. I just know he had a suspended license for as long as I'd known him.
Did he have a suspended license on the day of this accident?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. And how many payments of $150 did Mr. Barnett make?
I believe 6.
Is that right, Mr. Barnett?
Yes, ma'am.
And then he stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Did anything coincide with him stopping the payments?
We broke up.
And did you have a conversation with him about continuing with the payments after you broke up?
Yes, at the beginning of 2 months thereafter, I would ask him, will you pay this? Will you at least pay half? And because I know it's part my fault, so I was trying to compromise him pay half.
Why was it part your fault?
Because I took the blame in the first place.
That doesn't make it part your fault, that just makes you stupid. And he said, sue me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mr. Murray, where were you seated in the car?
Passenger side, by the door.
By the door.
Yes, ma'am.
And who was driving the truck?
Crystal Jeffers.
Miss Jeffers.
Yes, ma'am.
You're fibbing.
No, I'm not.
Sit down. I was being kind to you, sir.
I understand.
I don't like fibbers, especially in court.
Neither do I.
You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Stand up here again. I don't think I'm finished torturing you yet.
All right.
You his cousin?
Yes, ma'am.
You friendly?
Yeah.
Like each other?
Yeah, love him.
And your cousin was nauseous that day,
Yes, ma'am.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
So why didn't you drive?
Because I don't have a license.
Neither did he. Doesn't seem to make any difference in your family. He didn't have a license either. The reason he wasn't driving was because he felt nauseous, not because he didn't have a suspended license.
Can I speak, Your Honor?
Of course.
The reason I wasn't driving is because I felt ill. Just because I don't have a license didn't stop me from driving.
That's exactly what I said, Mr. Barnett. Why don't you pay attention, sir? I said it doesn't stop members of your family from driving. He said he wasn't driving because he didn't have a license. I said, neither did you. But the reason that you gave me for not driving that day and for having your girlfriend drive was not because you had a suspended license, but it was because you weren't feeling well. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Sit down.
As ex-boyfriend Derek Barnett made her take the blame for a car accident he caused. Crystal claims he was driving on a suspended license and he didn't want to go to jail.
So now he owes you, because I don't believe him, I don't believe him, $2,444. That's what's left. Now, you're only suing for half of that. Can you tell me why?
Actually, when I made my thing in Oklahoma, I miscalculated, and it's actually $1,944.87.
Well, did you make any payments?
Yes, because if I didn't make any payments, they were going to suspend my license. So I had to make the payments.
So you're just suing him for what's left?
Yeah.
Psh. That's unfortunate, but your lawsuit only asks for $1,450.
Yeah.
He owes you a lot more than that. You're getting away cheap, Mr. Barnett, considering the fact it was your accident. Now, you want to tell me about your counterclaim, and that is that you say that the plaintiff broke into your house and stole some property. Why don't
I
you
have
tell
a witness, also my mother.
Step up. Your last name is Barnett?
No, it's Libby Slavic.
All right, Miss Slavic. When was this break-in, and what do you know about it?
It was in August, and I was driving by his home, and I noticed Crystal coming out of the front door with a box in her hand. And when she see me, she dropped the box, and they all got in a truck and took off. So I pulled around, and I called the police from my cell phone, because I had known that when they broke up, he changed the locks on the house because she made it obvious she was not coming back in June.
So what did you do?
I went back to his house and waited for the police, but before they got there, he showed up.
And what did you find, sir, when you went into the house?
There was trash scattered across my floor. My furniture was turned upside down. Everything was gone except for one piece of furniture. $300 cash out of my dresser drawer. TV, VCR, stereo, CDs, and movies.
What date had you broken up with the plaintiff?
It was 3 weeks, about 3 weeks earlier than that.
On what date in the month had you been paying this $150 for this car accident?
It was on the 1st of every month.
Had you paid August's payment?
Yes, ma'am, I believe at the time, yes.
Did he make August's payment?
No, I made August.
Let me see what paper you're looking at.
That's a copy of all the payments that were made to the attorney office.
August, you did not make a payment, sir. She made the payment in August.
Okay.
What are you saying no?
No, ma'am, she didn't. I mailed that for him, so I know for a fact he paid it in August.
Why was he making these payments, madam?
Because the woman that she had called me on the phone. She had told me that Crystal was driving the truck, and then she said that she got a call from the police the next day. Crystal had went down and filed a false police report.
That said that he was driving.
He was driving. He was not driving the pickup. Her witness even said that Crystal was driving.
Her witness isn't here, and she's not here.
Right.
And he was
I
driving the
understand
truck, because if he wasn't driving the truck, he wouldn't have made these payments of $150 a month.
Well, Your Honor, I'm not going to sit here and say that
Right.
it was because I wasn't there. So
Absolutely
I don't know.
right.
I wasn't there.
Absolutely right. I don't have to be there.
But I was driving by his house when I seen her come out of his home.
All right, now, Miss Jeffries, let me get to you. And you know, I'm pretty good at this stuff. You went to his house with some friends.
My mother, my grandma, my grandpa, and one of my mom's friends.
And what did you go there for?
To get my clothes and my furniture.
And it was your furniture?
Yes. My dad's mother that died gave it to me.
Did you take anything that didn't belong to you?
Come
on.
CDs and movies, but we bought those together, so I'm not sure who bought what, you know.
What about a TV and a VCR?
The TV I left there because that was his. His mother gave it to him. The VCR, my dead grandmother gave to me, and a stereo my other grandma bought at a garage sale.
What else was taken, Mr. Barnett?
Everything that I named to you before.
What?
The TV, the VCR, the CDs, the movie, $300 cash out of my dresser drawer.
So all of that totals how much, sir, do you think?
$1,500.
You think if I were to add it up all together, I would probably slash that a little bit. In any event, Mr. Barnett, I'm not going to get into a long, protracted case on who bought what movies and who bought what stuff. All I will tell you is that since I believe that you owe her considerably more than she sued for, I'm giving you nothing on your counterclaim, because she's suing you for at least $1,000 less, because she didn't understand that just because she made the payments that she could have sued for that too. She's just suing for the balance that's left. So you get zippo, nada, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,450. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Crystal has this thing about lying when she's under pressure.
If you lie, you're going to get caught. And he was lying.
Homemaker Cindy Horsford is suing her former friend, 34-year-old real estate administrator Christina Conrad, for an unpaid loan.
Ms. Horsford, according to your complaint, you've known the defendant for about 9 years. You met at a 12-step program, a recovery program.
Correct.
And there came a time recently that you became reacquainted with her after a lapse in time. She was in need of money, and you loaned her some money. She says she did borrow some money from you, not as much as you claim, but that you have her coat, which is worth more than what she owes you. So, when did she first ask you for money?
Probably August, July, August, or...
That's not true.
It's it's maybe November, I'm not real sure.
August
That's
or
more like
November?
it. November might be more like it, yeah.
Go to November. So she asked you for money in November. Under what circumstances?
She had owed a man money that she had an accident with.
And how much money did you lend her?
$200.
Did you give her check or cash?
Cash.
And when did you again lend her money?
It was around...
Miss Horsford, did you know you were coming to court today? Did you know you were coming to court today,
Yes.
madam? Well, you're coming to court. Listen to me. You're coming to court today because you had 2 loans that you made to the defendant. This is not a complicated antitrust case. You made 2 loans. Such and such a date, this much. This is when I made it, this much. Because the questions are going to get harder. These are the easy questions, Miss Horsford. So when was the second loan? Let's give it to me again. Date and under what circumstances, madam?
The date was approximately the 18th of December, and it was for jewelry she had in the pawn shop that she had to make payments on her jewelry.
And how much did you give her that time?
Another $200.
Okay, and you also gave her cash?
Correct.
Anything else?
Yes, and I gave her an additional $60 after she had been asked to please leave.
Explain that to me.
Okay, I asked her to leave after about a week.
You mean she came to live with you?
Her daughter and her stayed for about a week.
Oh.
Which she insisted that I do.
Did she give you back any of that money?
Yes, she did.
How much did she give you back?
$50.
Now tell me about this coat that she says you have of hers.
She left a black leather jacket in my room, and I hung it up in my closet.
And it's still there?
I have it with me.
Oh, you have it with you? Great, so you can give it to her outside the courtroom.
Correct.
Is that right?
Correct.
Fine. Okay. Now, you gave her back $50?
$50, correct. And it was nowhere near the amount that she stated. She loaned me a total of $120, the bulk of that of which went towards getting my jewelry back, which she insisted on giving me. She stated that I stole $460. This was the original, what I was served. Now, if I stole it, my first question in my mind was...
Just a minute, just a minute.
If I stole it...
Why did you write her that she stole money?
Because she wasn't going to pay me back. I figured that's stolen money.
No, it's loaned money. Do you have any proof that you gave her $460? Have any withdrawals from a bank?
No.
Well, where did you have this cash from?
I had it in my heart box in my drawer, and she knew where it was, too. I was saving
the
it.
heart box you couldn't find.
Well, I have a problem here. She acknowledges that she still owes you some money, like $70. Is that right?
Correct. And may I say something, Your Honor?
Mm-hmm.
I had money that was supposed to be coming to me by a certain date. It didn't. She had made several phone calls, leaving messages on my machine, asking to speak to my boyfriend. I left her the message and said, you know, can you please not involve my boyfriend or leave notes in my mother's mailbox? We're 2 full-grown women. It's between you and I. She went into an absolute tantrum, told me that she, quote-unquote, did not want to see my face until I had all of her money, and furthermore, wasn't going to keep her mouth shut. She was going to call my boyfriend and tell him whatever she felt like.
Go ahead.
When I got home that night, my boyfriend had gotten off the phone with her and was outraged about all kinds of allegations that she'd made, that I was chasing after her boyfriend, this and that.
Oh.
So I went to her a couple days later and knocked on her door. I had $70 cash. She goes, what do you want? And I said, I need my jacket. I was going to go on to say, and when you give me my jacket, I will give you your money. She slammed the door in my face, proceeded to throw a tantrum on the other side of the door, and I left and thought, let's just leave it lie, let the dust settle till after the holidays, and then I'll go back and reapproach the situation. Before that could happen, I got served with papers.
Okay. Bird, will you see to it that the coat is turned over outside to the defendant?
Sure thing.
Very good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $70. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She stole my clothes, my medication.
The woman is on like 5 different medications. She has some serious emotional problems.
I know what she did with the money. She used it for crack cocaine.
As far as any kind of habits, I'm coming up on 9 years.
She has a drug habit, and she